The umpire is going to restart play here in the centre. Bailey Williams, geez, he's got a leap on him, this kid. Glad to see him unleashed to a degree. Richardson wins the clearance, sends it forward for Claremont. Lunging mark drop there from Smallwood. Good pressure provided from Oakley. Eastland standing there appealing. Not to be. West Coast force a stoppage.
Yeah, got to get more out of their mids, don't they, in that centre bounces. They're getting hands on the footy, but no clean possession. West Coast and Claremont are making them pay.
Eastland misses every bit of it, and in fact, the reason why he didn't get hand on it is Bailey Williams infringed, according to the umpire, and Claremont are going to line up for their fourth.
Yeah, this boy will be on an AFL list. Here's the replay here. Yeah, just no need for it, really. He was almost under the ball anyway, Eastland. So, yeah, this boy is invited to do the AFL medical screenings. Need to put on a few kilos, but I have no doubt he'll be on an AFL list within 12 months.
A chance for Claremont to really gain a fair bit of ascendancy in this opening term. Going to strike it from about 35 out. Easy pickings there for the Tigers. Already this lead blowing out into some dangerous areas in the early going, Tim.
Yeah, 17 disposals, 5 marks and a goal back in round 4 in a losing side. He's a young talent who's going places, Oliver Eastland, and there's plenty of work going on the bench at the moment for both teams. Plenty of changes being rung.
Well, he was their first choice ruck option last year, but obviously playing a little bit more forward now that Goddard's entered the fray. So you'd expect a little bit more of this, that contested marking and dangerous up forward.
CJ Oakley listening to the commentary right now. He's
Why wouldn't you when we're pumping the tyres 4-3 to 2 behind?
Interesting enough that Claremont lost one of their players, Eddie Simpson, who played 13 games, who's moved over midweek, ended up going to East Perth, playing in their reserves today. So he's another spot comes available for some opportunities for young Claremont players. But this is where West Coast have got to get on their bike, in the middle of the ground. They're really struggling to get clearances here. Claremont are dominating.
Williams searching for Archie. Little scrappy kick forward. They'll take it hard. Good release back to Williams. A fend off. Gee, this will be one of the goals of the day. But he's just put a little bit of hook on it. Good work there from the young ruckman.
Yeah, better. Good follow-up too, wasn't it? Bailey Williams, absolutely brilliant. He got pushed into it, actually, and actually probably travelled his full distance. But look, this just too easy on the easy out here for Claremont. You can't allow players like Bolton to be on his own on defensive 50.
Has Tracy on the lead. He's got it. Worked a long way for that one, Tracy. And Claremont will almost be happy. Just holding it up, playing a bit of possession football. They'll take this 24-point lead in the opening going. Richardson, very handy inclusion from the Tigers, coming back from a bit of an injury layoff. Umpire's called him to go. Wants to go wide, sees Mountford. Easy grab. Wants to move it quickly to Jai Bolton. Bit of a forward tumbler, and it's all Eagles. Don't know what Josh Smith was thinking. Bit of sun in the eyes. Let's give him that. He's going to collect a loose footy. Send it wide. The kick had to be precise because gunning him down was young Hardesty. Sends the ball over the line for the Tigers.
Cameron Robbie Seaton says, loving the one-way commentary. Don't know if you know, Cameron, but it's actually the West Coast Eagles commentary team. We're doing it on the West Coast Eagles.
Oh, here we go. Free kick's been popped. This is against Bailey Williams. I don't know why I've noticed it. I was drifting. And he's ended up putting Richardson to ground very unnecessarily before the throw-in. And this will certainly hurt.
He loves a goal, Richo.
Well, two-time goal, leading goal kicker for the Tigers. You'd expect so. He's going to strike it from probably right on the 50.
Yeah, he and Tom Lee both missing recently with the ankle injury, but he really shouldn't have any problems. He's a very, very good kick from this range.
To make it a 5-goal lead for the Tigers in the opening quarter. Puts it on its way, and the umpire had to think about it, but it was the wrong side of the goalpost.
Here is that off the ball. As the push, the initial... Interesting...
Oh, gee, me. Well, a bit of WWE there.
Big man, small man syndrome, I've got a feeling. And you look at that replay, and we'll probably see it again, I hope. Richardson was the bloke who instigated the initial contact. He was the one who went to Williams to say, I want to make contact with you. Because Williams responded. Umpire saw it. Yes, what does that tell you?
Oh, overshoots a little chip past his Branter. Kane Mitchell just pops it up, dangerous areas, and Brander able to make amends for his earlier missed kick. Umpire calls play on, dances around Smallwood with ease, goes the left foot pass to Curnow. Ball needs to sit for him. Gray there in support, as to is Foley. Little kick in board to Marston. Can West Coast nab a late one here at Optus Stadium? The wide switch finds Josh Smith. Prolific ball winner. Good kick. Oh, in fact, he's just overshot the intended target, and Ashman. And not a bad grab there for Claremont. The kick is dangerous, but Bolton makes it work. Thought he was going to get flattened there for a minute, but not to be. Oh, just through the hands of Bennett. Too easy there for West Coast. Archie picks it up, barrels a kick forward. He sets a task for Reid. Can he be good at ground level on the left boot? Preferred side. Geez, he wants every bit of the goal. Burnt all teammates inboard. And in the end, it's West Coast 4th behind of the quarter.
Interesting, some stats here. Kane Mitchell 12, Declan Mountford 10, and Jai Bolton 9, Ryan Lee-Mate. So they're their big four, and they're getting far too much of the footy. Brady Grace had 6, and the next best behind that, Brander, Fisher, Foley, Marston and Cameron, all with 4 apiece. Just not getting enough of the footy, West Coast.
Ledger sends it long down the line. Goddard doing the roving work. The ruckman just pops it high. Fisher in best position and worked Eastland under it very nicely. A fair size mismatch, but did very well. He thumps it long. It's going to land inside 50. Williams provides a contest, but is that Keegan Brooksby claiming the mark? Terrific stuff.
Yeah, well, he took a mark earlier in the quarter, all very novel way, but tell you what, they need this. Siren's not too far away.
This will take one of his better efforts, but should be using that long ruckman leg, I would have thought.
There is the siren, so it's going after the siren. So we're just about to tick on right on midday. So the quarter went 28 minutes. West Coast get a chance to get their first goal of the game.
On the stroke of quarter time, can Keegan Brooksby give West Coast some much needed momentum heading into the first break? The kick isn't too bad, but just drifting over the face. They're going to give him a behind. And in the end, the scoreboard reads quite wasteful, 0-5 to 4-4-28.
Yeah, 0-5 means 5 points to 4-4-28. They're all single goal kickers. Tom Lee's kicked the goal, Bradshaw a goal, Oliver Eastland and Tyron Smallwood. We'll take a break. Courtesy of Hungry Jacks, this is the West Coast Eagles Waffle Live feed. Got some work to do. They're down by 23 points.
Is there anything better than Hungry Jack's thick cut chips?
Yeah, Hungry Jack's large chips for just $2.
Or a cheesy cheeseburger for $2 and a nuggets and chips carry cup only $3. Penny pinchers everyday value at Hungry Jack's.
Liam Ryan's magnificent mark. It's had a bit of an afterthought and some fallout from it. But Liam Ryan's mark, where does it rate in the marks taken by West Coast Eagles over the journey? I've got my opinion. It is not in the top 3, not even close.
Not in the top 3?
Nah.
Okay. Well, for starters, I love that every single day Liam seems to have run 10 metres further. It was 60 metres, then 70, now it's 150 metres. He's run from outside in Leederville. But for me, you can't go past Ash Sampi. That mark, the sheer elevation and the fact that he got vertical, I tend to prefer the great marks when the guy's straight up. So if you, literally, he looks like he's standing on somebody's shoulders. Liam's mark was fantastic. It was a crucial point in the game. The way he got up on Max Gone, of all people. But to me, the Sampi mark is number 1. I can't go past that. I'm very interested to see who's in the other 2 spots ahead of Liam Ryan.
My pleasure. Just hold your horses.
Sampi number 1, I agree, also because it was on Ember's back or shoulders, whatever you want to say.
Hope you're watching, great man.
I also think Chris Waterman's at the MCG or not. That was your
Yes.
classical mark. I think that's in the top 3, 100%. And for number 3, I think Liam Ryan's on the weekend. But I think if he can consistently do what he's been doing, and he did it against the Bulldogs last year. This guy's only in the fledgling part of his career. If he can do that, he will no doubt end as the Eagles' number 1 high flyer. Brett Hetty was also very good back in the day.
All right, so pull up, mate. You can only mention a couple. You don't mention them all. Just one moment. I'll just call Nick Natanui and find out if he's on the line. Nick, you've taken any decent marks over the journey, mate? Nick Natanui's taken his own bag full. Nick Natanui, we're rolling some of them now. Nick Natanui is a marking machine, and there's a couple right here that we're seeing now that are clearly in the top 3. Liam Ryan was a good mark.
Yeah, but which one? You can't see, it's not a body of work. Which specifically
against Geelong? That's
It
the
took
only
a
one.
massive mark. Yeah, that's one of the. Waterman definitely is in the list. I mean, Liam Ryan was a huge mark. Don't get me wrong. It was a team lifter. It was a game lifter. And it's what we expect from Liam Ryan. But I'm telling you right now, pound for pound, he wasn't as high and there wasn't as much going on around him as some of those other pack marks.
What about the fact that he did run 300 metres to get to the...
Yeah, but mate...
Did a lap of the oval first.
Sorry, when the bloke's taking the photo and it's on the front page, oh, by the way, he ran 300 metres. Mate, it's not about the story. It's about marking it down on the scorecard.
See, I disagree. I actually think that it matters. The stage of the game matters. The impact on the game matters. The moment matters. Who you're jumping on matters. I think all of that stuff matters. When Nick Nat took that mark against Geelong, and it was a fantastic mark, from memory, they were up by a lot by that point. The game was well and
So
truly
what? He's
over.
still going to take the mark.
Surely the height comes into it as well. Nick Nat's got that spring-heeled leap as well, and he's also got the height. Liam Ryan, just a forward pocket, isn't
Heavens
he?
above. Fair dinkum.
He came from Geraldton. He came down from Geraldton.
Channel 7 and Channel 9 agreeing on something. Wow. All righty, let's talk about that.
And Channel 7 not pumping up Nick Nat. Thank you very much.
Oh, don't
I
worry.
want that on the record.
It's on the way. Let me tell you right now.
What? They do wraps?
Yeah, Hungry Jack's new chicken wraps with bacon and avocado. Choose succulent tender crisp or flame grilled chicken breast. Try our 100% Aussie chicken breast wraps. Hungry Jack's, now delivering with menu log.
Welcome back. Adrian Ickmont is talking to his Waffle team. Of course, thanks to Hungry Jacks, you're watching the Waffle live stream. Let's take a look at the Hungry Jacks highlights. And unfortunately for Eagles fans, wherever you're watching around the world, here in WA, Australia or, of course, overseas, it was all Claremont early and they dominated on the scoreboard and all their big guns got plenty of it, of course. Tom Lee was hard to beat up forward. Their midfielders in Mountford and Mitchell got plenty of it. And they got true bang for their buck, as well as that was the first goal on the board from Tyrone Smallwood. Pretty happy with themselves, the Tigers, and Ryan Lim also into double-figure stats. Had their chances, West Coast, had some chances to kick some goals, have probably rushed themselves a little bit. And in the end, they failed to get on the board. Just 5 points alongside 4-4-28, thanks to Hungry Jacks. Hope you're enjoying this Waffle game. It is 4th Claremont taking on 8th, the West Coast Eagles. And let's take a look at some of those stats as we keep a look on those highlights.
How about this for a bounce? Give us a spell, will ya?
Yes, he got the rub of the green with the bounce of the ball. It is a perfect surface, but the ball is a funnily shaped thing. Let's take a look at some of the leading stat getters for the West Coast Eagles. Brady Grays had 6, Brander 4, Cameron 4, Fisher 4, Foley and Marston, who's back in the lineup, had 4. And Archie just the 3, and Nelson 3, Jackson Nelson back in the lineup. And to Claremont, Mitchell 12, Mountford 10, Bolton, Lim and Martinez are dominating. Overall stats, let's just have a really quick look if I can, just the match stats here. At the moment it is 69 kicks and 27 handballs and 27 marks to Claremont. West Coast just 41 kicks, 13 handballs and 15 marks. 12-8 tackles, West Coast way.
Yeah, those individual West Coast statistics looking a little like me. It's a bit malnutritioned at the moment, so let's hope they can get their hands on the footy and gain a bit of momentum that's much needed.
Inside 50s, 17-7 Claremont. So 17 times for 4-4. West Coast have gone inside 7 for just 5 behinds.
We're all set for the second term here at Optus Stadium. Keegan Brooksby taking the rucking duties to start proceedings. Umpire lays down a pretty good bounce. Brooksby wins out, but Bolton's there to shark it. Just slams it forward on the left boot. Good spoil there from Foley. Riak can't collect. Nelson does so, but Tracy pinches it. And West Coast just attempting to clear here through O'Neill. Good tackling pressure there from Claremont. Smallwood, excellent claim there from Foley. And West Coast looking to just work it out by hand until Curnow says, no, move it forward. And Brooksby in front position takes the easy mark.
He's dominating. He's certainly a little bit of help from youngster Bailey Williams, but Brooksby is the key big man. But Bailey Williams looks like he's getting a bit more field time in the middle of the ground in this game today.
Jackson Nelson, as we said, just returning after his one-game stint in the AFL against the Crows. Pumps it long down the line. Williams a run at it. Can't take it cleanly. Doing well at ground level, but almost heard the voice of Bolton, who certainly just wanted to give it straight back to West Coast with his average kick out of play.
So they can reset here, West Coast.
Nelson's into the dugout if we got some vision of that.
Yeah.
That's the field club. The beers are ice cold down there, Tim, from what I hear. Nelson probably a bit too early in that caper.
Yes, he has the early game though, but he'll be disciplined, of course. He'll be hoping to work his way back into that league lineup. He's lost his spot, should I say. Lewis Jetta back from suspension. Nelson
kicking for distance down the line. Williams at front position. Cameron, geez, he's got clean hands in the contest. He's claimed by a couple of Tigers. But geez, that was smooth roving.
It was, and he's just got to keep doing that. He's getting closer to an AFL debut. Kicked 4 goals in a losing team last week. He was the difference. Tried hard.
Brooksby, little fist in board. Matty Allen just bangs it on the left boot forward for Brander. Skittling a few pack members. Hardesty is claimed by a couple of Eagles. Geez, I love the way Jared Brander attacks the contest, whether it be ground level or aerial, Tim. Going to be a serious player for this footy club. As the umpire restarts play back on the Eagles' forward flank. Goddard is collected by a couple of Eagles, and we'll do it all again. Gee, you got a hard job just scrolling through the Facebook there, big fella.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to do that, do the stats, keep you under wraps and trying to be unbiased.
Goddard does well from behind. Matty Allen again bangs it forward on the left boot. It's one out the top of the goal square. Williams collects his own footy. Handball inboard. A chance for Eagles first. Nick Reid off the left boot. Makes no mistake. The Eagles have got their first.
If only we had a camera in here when Nick Reid kicks a goal.
Hey, my clothes were on this time,
yeah,
Tim.
Yeah, exactly.
I contained myself.
Yeah, that. 4-4-28 to 1-5-11. Dana Hooker, of course, all part of the AFLW West Coast Eagles team in the season ahead. She's working the boundary line thanks to Hungry Jacks. Dana.
Thanks, Gus and Stephen. That is the start that West Coast were after there and the start that Adrian Hickmott was asking for. As we touched on pre-game, he stepped in as head coach for the game today and Luke Webster was addressing the midfield group. He was asking the group to be tougher at the football, more composed and really use it better into the forward line. And to start the quarter off with that quick goal, that's a fantastic start.
Certainly is Dana Hooker working the boundary line thanks to Hungry Jacks. AFLW, you wait till you see Dana Hooker do her thing. Great recruit by the club and a great start to the second quarter by West Coast.
Williams waits for it on this occasion, hacks it forward. Ledger waiting for the bounce of the ball, shrugged the tackle well, bit of 1-2 with Rogers. Goes on the left boot, bounces off of Tracy's chest. A chance if West Coast can get to the contest, but Bennett gives a bit of 1-2 himself. Just the one option, back to Ledger. They're sharing it well, the Tigers. Dangerous kick inside forward 50. Umpire's blown the whistle. And it's coming back, thankfully, on the wing. Oh, good hit there from Brooksby, throwing his weight around.
Yeah, big bump by Big Brooksby. Nothing untoward, though.
Ledger sees something in the corridor he likes. It's Rogers. Look at the quick ball movement here. The kick is dangerous. Nelson can bring it to ground. Hug. He's almost worried off it quickly. Matty Allen drew the player in well. Rebillard on hands and knees. They just need to hold it up, I think, here, West Coast. Marston collects. He's dumped and a win for the Eagles on this occasion.
Yeah, just clean possession, not quite there. Good pressure from Claremont. Again, centre field stoppage. West Coast have steadied since quarter time. Whatever Adrian Hickmott said seems to be working.
Cameron playing a little bit more midfield than I anticipated. Holding his own for the early going as Marston backfeeds to Reid. Had to work up the ground. The left foot bullet pass. Terrific little spoil there from Brander. Disrupted it well. A chance here for Hug. Little left foot kick to Rebillard. Needs to be clean. It's two Tigers. Beck's one of them. Smith provides a bit of support. He's claimed, dispossessed. And West Coast fighting tooth and nail to lock this ball inside their forward 50.
Yeah, making it a much better contest here in this second quarter, West Coast. So promising signs here. They're certainly getting themselves back in the contest.
Fair few numbers around this stoppage. Goddard wins out on this occasion. Bolton claimed immediately. Umpire says play on. Gray. Little feed to Allen. Off the right boot on this occasion. Kick forward and it's going to land perfectly for Jared Brander. A chance for West Coast to string a couple together, Tim.
Yeah, that was really good work there by West Coast. The forward 50, Brady Gray strong through the contest. Now, push when he kicked it, truck Allen there. Interesting enough, Nick Reid seemed to hold his man off the ball.
Oh, what can't he do, Tim? What can't he, the North Beach hero, do?
Could have played this weekend for North Beach. They had the bye. Could have doubled up. He seems like he's Superman to you, but anyway.
It's the only week I'm happy for him to be here, mate, when North Beach have their bye. Play him all you like. It's Jared Brander. Bit of a swing man in the 18s. Can play him anywhere. Lining up for his first of the day, but he's pushed it well right on this occasion. Chance goes begging for the Eagles. Anton Hamp wants to move things quickly, finds Rogers. He thumps it down the wing. Fisher out of position. Needs to at least hold up. Bradshaw probably just does on this occasion. Kick towards full forward. Geez, he split the gap well. Found Richardson. A well-open forward line here for Claremont. Going to go over the top, dropping back. Wonderful work there from the Eagles. In fact, Foley has been claimed the mark, but just peeled off his opponent with ease. Good mark from the first-year Eagle. Never good dropping back into the corridor, but did so effectively on that occasion. Rotham has it here in the back pocket for West Coast. Little dart kicking board finds Mutimer. Just the 4 AFL games in 4 years for Kurt Mutimer.
Uses the ball well, doesn't he? He's almost Shannon Hearn-like at this level, but nearly needs to take it to the top level and do the same. But he certainly is the go-to man when trying to use the ball out of the back half. That wasn't one of his better efforts, but it certainly looks like it. When he's got the ball in hand, he can sink it a long way, and normally he's a pretty pinpoint passer of a footy.
Well, fans will remember that he kind of came into a forward position. That is one of the more interesting kits you'll ever see. What's going on there?
Grassroots support, mate. That's genuine support.
Bolton sends it inside forward 50. Front position Eastland. Good spoil there from Riak. Ball at ground level. Smallwood. Bit fumbly. Eagles pounce on him. And they're able to lock it up. In fact, umpires giving a bit of time. He's been let off the hook. You're going to wear one of those out to the pub straight after the game, you reckon, Tim?
Give us a break.
Deary me.
Have a look at them.
That's different. Bolton, hurried kick forward. Oh, was it a free kick? Umpire thought about it. Curnow can't collect. Look at the numbers for West Coast around this. Mutimer feeds out to O'Neill. Good smother there from Claremont. Great defensive pressure from Richardson. And they earn a throw in inside forward 50. Have a look at this. That's wonderful to see, even if you are bleeding blue and gold, Tim. Not you. Talking most listening, of course. The umpire's going to send it back into play here. Brooksby against Goddard. The ladder wins out. Mountford spirals a kick towards full forward. A loose bouncing ball to the top of the square. Luckily goes through. No damage there for West Coast. Josh Rotham splitting kick-out duties with Mutimer here. Opts for the short ball, finds Curnow in the pocket.
It's one-on-one all around the ground now. There's no +1 behind the ball for either team, although Eastland is trying to get across. And there's a throw-in, so that's disappointing there.
Didn't give himself enough room on the mark there, Curnow. And Jai Bolton, wonderful work to earn. A throw-in inside dangerous terrain here as far as West Coast are concerned. In fact, the umpires found a free kick for who knows what, but we'll take it.
Basically saying you've got to come back 9 metres off the boundary line.
Well, take that every day of the week. Williams front position. Can't get a good run at all. Salamone meets him front on. Umpire swallowed the whistle. Take that every day of the week. Smith 1-2 with Marston. Draws his teammate. The handball's a bit sloppy. Archie, well bumped off it there. Terrific work from McGee for Claremont. And they're on here. They're going to advance on the outer side. Bolton lowers the eyes, and that kick is precise to Bradshaw. West Coast bit too fumbly in the middle of the ground there, Tim.
Yeah, Jalen McGee is the player. Jalen McGee is the son of Ken McGee, who was a long-time Perth Heat baseball guru. And he is a tough, hard as a cat's head, they reckon. And I'm pretty sure Ken McGee was formerly in the West Coast Eagles marketing department many moons ago.
Is that right?
Pretty sure he was.
Don't remember him from baseball. Just a bit of Greg Jelks fan myself.
It was before Jelksy.
Bradshaw comes in, makes no mistake. And Claremont against the run of play, get another.
That's his second goal, Jack Bradshaw. So again, that just came from hard head-over footy stuff. It was a heavy bump by McGee. And you just saw it there, and then he picked up the footy, cleared it out. Just good use of the football there. And again, how Bolton, a bloke that just knocks up getting the footy, is allowed to stand on his own at half forward, is beyond me. But there were signs good there for West Coast, but unfortunately that's a steadier for the Tigers, and they've got this handy 23-point lead midway through the second quarter.
Knows where to find them, does Jack Bradshaw for Claremont. Two-time leading goal kicker for the Tigers back in 2015 also.
Do you know Bennett Sasich?
I do indeed.
Yep. He's giving you a rap on the face.
Oh, you only played for your amateur club Wembley for about 10 years, but good supporter you are of the local level, Tim. That's your club, Wembley, isn't it?
Yeah, did we beat North Beach 2 weeks ago?
Oh, mate,
Would you like to have that conversation again?
As the umpire restarts play back in the middle, Eastland wins the tap out. Marston travels through his hands.
Any friend of yours is no friend of mine.
I just can't wait.
You can have that bloke.
Mate, you can take your round 5 amateur victories and come talk some flags with me when you get a chance, because I remember Wembley being at the losing end of many of our victories. Bennett Sasich, if you're listening, thanks for coming. As a quick kick forward for Claremont, it's going to pierce their 50. Josh Rotham Spills the mark. Good pressure there from Oakley. Rotham back on it. Ball spills to Fisher. He's dispossessed.
Oh, tough call.
I think that was a tough call. It was a good tackle there from Bradshaw.
Yep, spilled the ball out and let go as soon as he tackled him. So that's a let off for West Coast. Got to use the ball. This guy's been good since joining the West Coast Waffle team.
Fisher launches down the line and the ball heads out the back over the boundary line.
I'll get some stats up for you, mate, because I know you love your stats.
Well, you've got to be doing something, sure. Wait, just next quarter or something?
Mate, you haven't paid for the Wi-Fi, all right? Don't worry about me.
Eastland, almost uncontested, finds Kane Mitchell. Skies it high in the air. Front position Richardson, but good spoil from West Coast. Tracy has a runner on the outside, back to Mitchell. Just pops it on the boot, just the required 15, I reckon. And Lim a chance. Tough angle, but will strike it about 40 metres out from goal.
Yeah, he's just one of these midfielders that just gets plenty of the footy, not just today, but every time they step out. Brady Gray, 7 disposals, Marston, 7, Nelson, 7, Allen, 6, Foley, 6, and Josh Smith, 5, and Brendan Archie and Jared Cameron also with 5 disposals each for West Coast.
He kicked a couple of goals, had 25 touches the last time these two sides met. Did Ryan Lim. A chance to hit the scoreboard. The kick, not too bad off the boot. He's got the line. It's there.
Yeah, midfielders who kick goals, they're worth their weight in gold, and he's pretty happy with himself. 10. That's his as well. That's his 9th disposal. He comes off the ground and a goal. Jai Bolton, 15 disposals, 7 marks. Kane Mitchell, 12 disposals, and Declan Mountford, 11 and 6 handballs in that as well. Bailey Rogers, Tom Ledger's come on and got plenty of the footy as well. And as we've said, Bradshaw's just had the 4 kicks, but he's had 2 goals, 1. So they're midfielders. That's their strength. That's their strength. They feed off Eastland. They feed off Goddard. And they just get plenty of the footy. And all of a sudden, this lead is getting out to an alarming 29 points midway through the second quarter.
West Coast did peg it back to under 3 goals in the opening couple of minutes here in the term, but Claremont have since put the foot down.
We might head down to Dana very, very shortly. Just get a vibe at ground level. What's the mood down on the West Coast Eagles bench and coaching staff? See whether they've keeping their cool.
Marston collects well. Not too many set of bounces Marston's been a part of in his years, but is here at waffle level. Hug just pops it to the 50, 2 Tigers. Can't work it out amongst themselves. West Coast providing a bit of pressure and they force the ball over. Cameron certainly lurking around that contest. An absolute truckload of numbers coming around this throw-in. Gee, West Coast would just love to pinch one here. Throw in short yet again. Eastland down, but here's Archie. A little bit fumbly. Claremont, blind handball. Gray receives. Just sends it long to the top of the square. Big contest here. Salamone flies. Archie at ground level. Goes for the impossible, but it's going to squirt across the face. And Rogers sees the ball over the line.
They're in a dangerous position here, West Coast. There's some inside 50s, 23-12. They are certainly dominating forward half, and West Coast are being forced to tackle because they just aren't getting the possession of the footy, and that's normally the reason why you get more tackles.
Eastland puts the ball in front of him, somehow comes back into his lap. McGee, little back feed to Rogers, dangerous little dinky kick, but well worked out there from Bolton. Finds Rogers, puts Mitchell under the pump, and therefore his handball was out of the reach of Martinez. West Coast have done well to force another stoppage.
They have. They were out to Claremont. Martinez just needed to be onto that end of that hand pass from Kane Mitchell. But again, West Coast in their forward half. Still crowded though. Would like to see it sort of a few West Coast Eagles players pull out of there and make it a 1-on-1 or a 2-on-2 instead of a 5-on-5.
Beck, tidy collect. Cameron claims him. Mitchell puts his head over it. And O'Neill escorts him over the boundary line. Would love to see this midfield start to match it with Claremont's here, Tim. It's a tough ask today, I know, but there is still some cattle there as West Coast are concerned. Cameron pinches it almost and ends it round the corner into the pocket. Hamp just thumps it forward. It's going to work for him. Gee, that was evasive from Bennett. Handball left a little to be desired. Cameron a high snap towards goal, but it's all Rogers just beating out the goal line. taking the relieving defensive
Yeah,
mark.
Cameron looks the most dangerous. Oh, they've turned it over. They've turned it over. He didn't use his space. He kicked off the goal line. And this is a chance for West Coast to be gifted an opportunity. Jared Brander, albeit a tough angle.
We've seen Claremont go a bit of coast to coast from their back line, so I think the message has been move it on a little bit of all cost and see if you can get West Coast on the hop. And on that occasion, when it doesn't work, you'd say it was rushed. And a chance for Jared Brander.
Aim for the left-hand goal post here. He normally has a bit of left to right fade.
No worries, Sticks Kernahan. Let's hope he can hear you up here in the 50th tier. Jared Brander. Oh, that's not a bad approach. He's put it through, the young fella.
No problems. Nice goal and a much needed one. Just their second goal, and we've gone 17 minutes into the second quarter. Coming back for some hard work, and well done to Jared Cameron. I reckon he's lifted his rating through the midfield opportunity he's got as he runs inside the centre square now. Like him, I think he's just got a bit of hardness about him, all very small in size. Of course, the younger brother of Charles Cameron, which he goes by over there in Brisbane, and he was a significant player in their win against Hawthorn. So there's a lot of people watching this young boy, Jared Cameron, right now because he's just knocking on the door. Good last week against Swans, and just having an impact here. He likes to get under the skin, and at the moment, he's doing just that as he stands on Mountford. There's a lot of push and shove.
They've split the quarter so far. There's two sides, 2 goals, 1 apiece in the second term.
Good goal, wasn't it?
We've played 18 minutes here in Optus Stadium. My worth it was. Well read to get the intercept grab as well.
See the left to right fade at the goalpost.
Cameron,
oh,
playing by Mountford.
Ouch.
Umpire has found a free kick. He's pointed the wrong way a couple of times. Is he paid holding the ball there, Tim?
Yeah, he's paid a holding the man decision before the ball went to West Coast.
Bolton, oh, what's a wonderful kick there from Jai Bolton, and Ledger leading with the flight does well to take it inside 50 for Claremont.
Yeah, you can stand there and look at what happened, or you can be proactive, and that's exactly what Claremont did, and that's what Bolton does. Eyes up, heads up, and he goes, that was a wonderful long lead from Tommy Ledger. Not a noted goal kicker, I would imagine, Tommy Ledger.
This will take one of his better efforts, I would have thought. Going to strike it from just inside the 50, I would have thought. He comes in now. Gee, the distance is no problem, and the umpire doesn't mind it either.
What about that?
What a goal there from Tommy Ledger.
Yeah, that's the quick response, and that's the disappointing part from West Coast. They work incredibly hard to get their goal on the board by locking it in their forward 50. Comes back, there's a strange decision someone would call, and then all of a sudden they're all sort of resting on their laurels, and while that's all going on, they were out and racing, and Ledger, once he gets off, he's very hard to curtail.
That is such a difficult kick, Tim. I mean, Tommy Ledger's no slouch in the speed department. For Jai Bolton to read exactly how far he had to send the ball, I'm sure it was as far as he could kick it, but didn't break stride, Ledger, and that's an amazing goal assist from the star Claremont Tigers midfielder.
Yeah, very much so. So back out to that game-high lead of equal game-high lead of 29 points. And still got plenty of time in the quarter as well. We're only just ticked up to 20 minutes. You're watching the Waffle live feed, courtesy of the West Coast Eagles and Hungry Jacks.
Here they are on cue. Bit of Bolton to Ledger, as it was in the previous possession. Rotham does well, butters up his own spoil. Oh, wonderful smother there from Oakley. Creates a bit of chaos inside the Claremont forward 50. Curnow just can't wait to see the boundary line. Takes it over.
Yeah, I think Harrow would be, Darren Harris, the coach of Claremont, very happy with his inside 50, forward 50 work by his forwards there. They are determined to put West Coast under enormous pressure. No easy outs.
Bit of gut check time here for West Coast. Need to hold firm heading into this half-time break. Certainly not give up another one. Ledger got a good fist on it there. Here we go. Tracy around the corner to the top of the goal square. Fisher just gets a hand on it. The umpire's calling it back. And again, Claremont a chance to kick another with the assist of the umpires.
Yeah, Ryan Lim will get a free kick. And just everything, here it is here. Here's the replay. Just keeping an eye on this. So didn't have the ball.
Yeah.
It was just in the corner of your screen. Xavier O'Neill taking him down. So, well, we know Ryan Lim loves a goal and loves his reaction to a goal. So if he can kick 2 in the one quarter, it'll be party time.
State 16 and 18's representative is Ryan Lim. Certainly can play this game at the top level of Waffle. Don't worry about that. He's going to set sail from about 45, and he's kicked his second of the quarter. Dead-eye Dick.
Yeah, Ryan Lim's got 2 to join Jack Bradshaw. So have a look at the guys who are getting their goals. I mean, Ledger, who's a midfielder, Tyron Smallwood, who's a small forward midfielder. Oliver Eastland, who's pushed forward. So much their key forwards aren't getting goals. It's their midfielders who are pushing down, as you saw there, Ryan Lim's reaction to it. It's their midfielders who are pushing down and getting on the scoreboard. So, yeah, West Coast, there's a lot of work to do for Adrian Hickmott and the coaching staff at half-time to try and curtail this Claremont talented midfielder, not just getting the ball, but also bothering them on the scoreboard.
Costly couple of minutes there for Brady Gray. I love him. Great fella. He was probably one of our best on ground last week. 27 disposals against Swan Districts. But he was guarding Ledger on the previous goal. And he also gave away that free kick against Ryan Lim. So I want to see Brady Gray make a bit of amends here in the dying stages of the second term, like we know he can.
23 inside 50s to 12 Claremont's way. They are dominating that stat.
Brooksby, first use of the ball, can't find a teammate. Gee, didn't he follow up and just slam Mountford into the deck? Didn't mind seeing it. Nelson wrestling well with Tyron Smallwood, and the umpire says, you can't work it out, boys. Give it to me.
150 disposals to 111. They're dominating that. 39 marks to 27 Claremont's way. Tackle count favours West Coast, which means they can't get the ball. 28-17. They're dominating hit-outs as well. 26-16.
Heavy congestion here inside the centre square. The umpire no choice but to restart play yet again.
Yeah, Claremont aren't concerned about the restarts, are they? I mean, for a brief moment, it looked like West Coast was starting to edge their way back in these clearances, but at the moment, Claremont dominating the last 4 or 5, and this might be another one.
Yeah, at the hands of Bolton. Marston reads it well, but he's almost taken there from Bradshaw. Good left foot pass. Oh, just spilt there at the last minute from Ashman. Umpire refusing to give it to him. Almost like a rugby scrum. Marston receives. Cameron, low kick out. Good contest there from Rebillard. Takes it away from Ham. Just gets away from the tackle. The kick. Brander just spills it on hands and knees. That could be costly for West Coast Eagles. Still a chance inside forward 50 if Brady Gray can take. Geez, he almost waited for the back tackle there. Little handball, Nick Reed on his favoured left side, but wonderful tackling. Claremont's defensive pressure at top notch here in the second term. Look at the numbers around this footy too. A couple of chances going begging there, I think, Tim.
Certainly did, Thump. There was 4 disposals in that 30 seconds by Chris Marston, trying to lead his team. Not all clean, mind you, but, gee, hard stuff from Chris Marston, trying to get back into that top team.
Cameron, the sea's almost parted for him. Out comes Mountford, a high tackle.
Just reckon the right arm slipped over. He was going forward and trying to dive his way through the tackle, Jared Cameron. Thanks to Hungry Jacks. We'll take a look at the replay. Here it is here. Mountford. Oh, tell you what, he missed him there. That's not the free, I don't think. No, that certainly wasn't the free. That was slightly before that. It was just after that. But anyway, he's got a chance to kick a goal. He kicked 4 last week and was very good with, I think, kicked 4 goals with just 7 kicks last week against Swan Districts.
Against his former side. You always love a bit of that, don't you? There's Cameron a chance to kick his first for the afternoon here. Walters in. Gee, the distance is going to test him in the end. Didn't make great connection. He's also hooked it slightly across the face.
So in a blink of an eye, Marston's up to, he's the first Eagle into double-digit disposals. He's had 7 and 5 and a couple of marks. Brady Gray the 9. Cameron's got himself to 9, and Foley has 8 as well. There's the leading stat getters for West Coast, but they trail on the scoreboard by a handy 34 points.
Rogers was State 18's captain back in his young day. Just pumps it down the line. West Coast content with sending the ball out of play. Originally from Maris Junior Footy Club was Bailey Rogers. Had a few battles against them back in the day. Not successful, mind you.
Yeah, don't mind talking up your career, do you?
I just told you I got belted, but I don't know what we're talking up there. The umpire flicks it back into play. Lim's going to be first to this one. Sends it back into Martinez. Look at the handballs from Claremont, working it out with precision. In the end, Axel Foley just bangs it off the boot. A couple of Claremont boys appealing for out in the full. Pretty sure it has to go over the line for that to happen, boys. Have a look at it, will you?
And Brady Gray just having a well-earned break on the boundary line. He's one of the senior statesmen of this very young West Coast Eagles. Of course, not all full-time West Coast Eagles squad members.
Umpire will restart things yet again. Goddard just smacking it back towards the line. Of course, Claremont happy to soak up some time here in the remaining minutes.
Jai Bolton, 19 disposals, 15 to Mitchell, 12 to Bailey Rogers, and 11 to Tommy Ledger, who we just saw smiling on the boundary line.
We just saw Eric McKenzie on screen in the West Coast Eagles dugout. No doubt going to be busy at the halftime huddle, instructing his defenders of some possible moves they can pull. Dare say it'll be Luke Webster's midfield that'll be getting the main instruction. Tommy Ledger doing his best to block the view for us there, but there he is. Big Easy. One of the better fellas floating around the West Coast Eagles organisation.
Oh, okay. So you've now got better fellas at West Coast. Can you rattle off some of the ones you don't like?
Give me time. See how this game goes. Mitchell sends it down the line. Terrific grab there from young Foley. Second contested grab that's impressed me a little bit here. Wants to go back to Fisher. He spots Brander on the broadcast side wing. Ball not quite sitting for him at this stage, and in the end just has to toe poke it over the line. A little bit of push and shove. Don't mind it. Don't mind it. Geez, he's flattened him on the AstroTurf. That's not a good landing. Wouldn't mind seeing... Martinez got a bit of a problem there. Got a few blockages in front of me, Tim. I wouldn't mind front row seats to what's happening down there.
Oh, well, pity you're up here working.
Classic. In the end, the umpire spotted a free kick. I dare say it was Brander slinging Richardson to the turf. And the siren wins out. That is the stroke of half-time here at Optus Stadium with West Coast. Plenty of work to do heading into the major break.
And it's still going on too, let me tell you. There's the live action right where there it is there. So let's go live. Just saw a replay of what took place to the Richardson free kick. And Claremont, Jared Brander, Kane Mitchell, who does not mind mixing it with anybody. He is quick, the first one in. He's good on the gob, is Kano Mitchell. And the West Coast Eagles, the big man Keegan Brooksby tries to settle things down with a little help from the umpires. It's still going on. It's not done with yet. Jai Bolton is involved, and there's big Keegan. He's just telling everyone, out we go, boys. Let's get back into the rooms. He's pointing them off. There it is there. So
bit of veteran leadership there, Tim.
Absolutely. He could have taken them all on, the big fella. 8-5, 53 to 2-7, 19. Claremont Football Club in that quarter added 4 goals, 1. And the West Coast Eagles added 2 goals, 2. 8-5, 53 to 2-7, 19. A couple of goals to Lim in that quarter. Bradshaw also has 2. And the single goal kickers are Tom Lee, Oliver Eastland, Tyron Smallwood as well, and as I said, Tommy Ledger. Singles to Nick Reed and Jared Brander. We'll take a break. Thanks to Hungry Jacks, you're watching the Waffle live stream from Optus Stadium, courtesy of the West Coast Eagles and Hungry Jacks.
Is there anything better than Hungry Jack's thick cut chips?
Yeah, Hungry Jack's large chips for just $2.
Or a cheesy cheeseburger for $2 and a nuggets and chips carry cup only $3. Penny pinchers everyday value at Hungry Jack's.
Living in City Beach, so driving 15 minutes to Subi, about 25 to Rathline. It's not the worst thing ever. It's all right. It's just with the hosties. As an 18-year-old, it was so daunting. Draft night, having to pack my bag straight away, and I was moving across the country 2 days later, moving in with a family I didn't know. Everything sort of was scary, but yeah, it wouldn't change it for the world now. Love my hosties and love living over here, so it's a good lifestyle. Yeah, I'm about to move out of the hosties, unfortunately, to move in with Patrick Bynes and Jared Brander. So I'm very excited for that. It'll be interesting to see how if the house is still standing after a few weeks, and if not, I might have to move back to the hosties. Yeah, obviously with Lecker retiring, there was obviously that spot opening up. Yeah, I didn't think I'd grab it straight away. Worked hard in the off season when I went home, and I think I had a good pre-season. But yeah, definitely didn't expect to have played this many in a row so far, and yeah, it's exciting. You always feel shocking after a loss, but obviously kicking a few goals and being lucky enough to get the award I got, but yeah, it just doesn't feel right in a loss, so yeah, it wasn't the best feeling. As great as it was winning the award and getting that individual recognition, I think it's important that we sort of get back on track now, string together a few good performances and get the confidence back. Well, I don't think we've lost confidence, but I think it's important that we get a few good wins on the board now and get our season rolling.
they're always a challenge, and yeah, I think playing the Premier from last year is kind of as good as it gets in terms of trying to work out where we are.
The first premiership player has fallen, with the West Coast Eagles axing grand final hero Nathan Vardy for Sunday's blockbuster with Geelong. And the news is bad for star defender Tom Barrass, who may be sidelined until round 15 following foot surgery.
Yeah, in terms of backing up players in, we always back them in. Getting the mix right is important for us, but it was so disappointing last week, so we've got a few things we need to work on.
I think they've got a lot of experienced players Geelong have been playing for several years, and their backline's been so good, and that's always why it's hard to score against them. And obviously the names in the midfield, Kelly, Dangerfield, Selwood, Duncan, all those guys are experienced campaigners, and for a team to beat them, you need to be on and you need to play for 4 quarters.
Beat them in the midfield and make sure that particularly Gaff and Elliott and Shuey don't have good days. Stop their defenders intercepting all day and making it hard for us to score. Make sure their small forwards don't have an influence, but be careful that you don't prioritise them over Kennedy, Darling and Allen. We'll just do all that stuff and we'll win.
Hawkins went it to perfection, runs in open goal, spears it through. Cats in front.
Myers tried to step through, he did more than try, he kept on going, Brian Myers, it deserved to finish just like that.
Well, the Cats are absolutely belting them on the inside, and the game is living in chaos, it's living in contested possession battle. It's not an uncontested mark game, which suits the West Coast Eagles. Problem is they've only had 14 inside 50s in 40 minutes of football.
They're starving up there, Kingy. Darling, Kennedy, not enough opportunity.
They've had almost 40 opportunities to bring the ball out the back half, and they have not scored once.
They have been demolished, the West Coast.
One of those nights for 2 weeks. Yeah, we can't play our way if we can't win the ball. Unfortunately, we were outplayed again around the contest, and very hard to identify what style we're playing at the moment if we can't win the footy. There is a lot of work to do, so I'm not going to sugarcoat anything.
Oh, it was a really tough day. Yeah, we're all hurting a lot at the moment, and we're trying, we're putting the effort in, but it probably doesn't look like that at the moment. And we're doing a few things right, but there's a lot of things that we're struggling with, and we need to fix pretty quickly, because we're 3-3. Hasn't been the greatest start for the year, but it could be a lot worse. And looking forward to hopefully getting back on the horse next week.
Let's have a little chat about the West Coast Eagles, Watto, for a moment. 2 really bad weeks, 58-point loss on the weekend.
West Coast has been dealt a second straight heavy loss, suffering a 58-point thrashing at the hands of Geelong.
The West Coast Eagles have tumbled down the AFL ladder after Geelong beat them by 58 points today.
Obviously last year we were going from the Hunters, now we're the Hunted, so it's certainly one of those things where we've got to try and take in our stride, but we also got to play consistent football at the same time.
It wasn't ideal, I guess, how we played, and the talks internally were just about us, really, about how we were going about things. Results weren't ideal, but it was more about the way we were playing. So, coming into the Gold Coast game, we really just wanted to focus on a real contested type of game. There's a few challenges thrown out to a few different players, and yeah, it was good. The vibe wasn't, oh geez, we're going terribly. It was just in the middle. We had stuff to work on.
The best thing about football is it's week to week. So, you have a bad game, you have a good game, whatever it is, you can always follow up the next week. So, we've had 2 bad games, but yeah, we've got a good chance to, I suppose, rectify that, and we've got a big challenge coming up against Gold Coast.
Well, yeah, their pressure, in particular in early parts of the year and in early parts of the game, is elite. Yeah, so they're having a real go. So if we're not on our toes, we'll get whacked again.
And one late change with Tom Hickey out due to a minor hamstring injury, replaced by Nathan Vardy, who was dropped last week and has a big job tonight.
Super flat not to get up, mate. 6-day break doesn't help, but gave it every chance. Just want to be a part of turning the tide after a couple of subpar performances, and want to be there to help the boys get across the line, but I'm sure Vaz will come in and do a really good job.
So just think about what you've done in the past, think about what you need to do now, think about the process, and play your best.
It was just a little short, through the legs, Ryan found it, and he produces some magic. Darling doing the ruck work and going all the way. Jack Darling with a bit of individual individual brilliance.
Yeah, it was good to find a little bit of form. I showed much better intent, and for me as a player, when I show that intent, I usually play a good game, so that'll be my focus for the rest of the year.
They look desperate, don't they, Jace? They just look a bit more like we know West Coast have been the last few seasons, a bit more hungry.
The Eagles get the win. They were desperately searching for.
I will take the win. I think you got to take the win. Yeah, so I think we've had an improvement. Yeah, over the last 2 weeks we've been really disappointing.
It's all about mindset. You can do as much training throughout the week on tackling that, or you can do as little. It's all about between the years. The big game next week against St Kilda at Marvel Stadium, the first of the year playing there. So really looking forward to the challenge again.
Really proud. So wins are hard. We're 4-3. All right, we've got the Saints this week. Another step forward. Okay, another opportunity to win a game. Okay, so we take a lot from tonight, especially the conditions.
We know that we're not far away from playing our best footy, and hopefully, it starts this week against the Saints. Understand it's a big game again, because every game in AFL footy these days is a tough challenge.
It's one of those years where you need to be close to your best to get a win on the weekend. So getting a win against Gold Coast was pretty big for us, coming off a couple of losses. It's such an even competition now that you need to be close to your best to beat any side. So what we were able to do in the midfield, I thought a lot of our guys stepped up in there and really set the scene for us.
We thought we had some really good patches last week, in particular in the first half. We thought our contests and ability to stick ahead over the footy was pretty good all day. We let them back into it in the second half, so there's some things to work on there. So the most important thing is we won the ball, we tackled well, we were up for the contest, so that's our start point again this week.
Both clubs on 4 and 3. West Coast, though, have been so inconsistent this year.
We can control the game in so many areas. You've got to do the little things. Some of them are instinctive, some of them you don't know you're doing, but some of them you really need to think about. All the little things that you do to make us great is critical. Don't neglect the little things. Let's set the tone for what we want to do at the first bounce today.
Obviously a really experienced group, the reigning premiers. They know what to do, but playing here at Marvel Stadium throws up different challenges, and maybe the Saints will just throw something a little bit different at them tonight.
Come to Melbourne and beat the Saints on their home track's not going to be easy. Here is Venables with a snap, and that's good. Oscar Allen, good start, West Coast. That's what you want to see from your big boys forward of the ball. Ryan steps forward and then vertically extends.
Probably our best four-quarter effort for the year so far, so it's really pleasing to come over, get a win on the road and go back happy.
Saints are playing a really good system at the moment, and you've got to be at your best to break it down. The numbers, the supply, the shots at goal, all the things pointed towards a good win.
Myself, Andrew Gaff, Jack Darling, Liam Ryan and Elliot Yo were coming back from breakfast. All of a sudden, a huge creak, and it just stopped. So there was definitely some nervous moments. So it took us about 45 minutes to get out in the end. So we ended up just sitting down, listening to music, playing some cards. Luckily, we just been for brekkie and had some cards with us. But yeah, it's a pretty scary situation.
Once it started to get 35, 45 minutes, you kind of want to take a break. And when there's when there's one or two people, but when there's 4 or 5, it starts to get it was getting hot in there. And I think Jamie Cripps tried to pass us through a couple of slices of cheese, which was pretty good of him.
Well, for me, celebrating is a lot of things, especially being Indigenous. Not so much all the other stuff. It's just when I grew up watching Indigenous players that inspired me, they was role models without even them noticing about it, and the impact they have in the community as well. And that's why I celebrate it these days. Very, very big, and some of the teammates as well.
Yeah, well, right in the heart are the 3 circles. And the 3 circles represent the supporters, staff, and the players in the middle, so it's concentric circles of support.
You always look forward to Friday night games or just playing on the weekends. Every time I get a chance to go on the field or grab a football, I always get excited.
Yep, he's back, so he'll play, manage minutes, but he almost ready last week, so we, instead of playing for Waffle Eagles last week, we trained him up and he's available this week, so he'll play.
So the West Coast Eagles tonight celebrating their Dreaming and Indigenous recognition game in front of their home crowd. Won't get the opportunity to do that next weekend.
It's a late change tonight, so Hickey comes in for Schofield.
Yeah, obviously disappointing not to play. Gave it right up to the last minute and just wasn't going to be quite up to scratch. And I mean, for me, I was sort of playing on the edge anyway, so need to be close to 100% to be able to play.
No, we're not looking at their form as something that's been horrendous. The last two games they've played some pretty good football, so we're preparing them at their best.
But tonight, it's about this 22 and what you can do physically and with your work rate. Good luck.
Cole gobbled up by Vardy. Vardy gives it onto the running Cripps. He takes a bounce, closes to within 55, looking for a slider, and he's got it. He's got it. I reckon Melbourne have that spark has just stopped a little bit.
Really dug in West Coast.
And Rioli pitched his pocket and rolls it home. Of course he does. Liam Ryan saying, kick it my way, I want to jump over the pack, and here he comes!
Ryan! He's taken the mark of the year.
Liam Ryan leaps into the air, and Flying Ryan takes one of the best grabs you will ever see.
Gone! Overgone!
Well, the Premier is well placed. They've won 6 of their first 9. They can launch from here.
Melbourne was tough. That was a tough game, and I've said this before, winning's really hard, and we'll take what happened tonight any day of the week.
It was a grind. It was an absolute grind all day, and they're a quality team, so we expected it. But, credit to us for finishing the game off strong and sort of playing it out.
We just had a good setup, and we just all worked together in the second half. So once we defended well and got our ball going, offense going, it was pretty hard to stop them.
The facts are the numbers probably don't stack up, and that's been the case for most of the year. Our supply's gone down. So we're working really hard to get that right. If we can win in the meantime, that's great.
What? They do wraps?
Yeah, Hungry Jack's new chicken wraps with bacon and avocado. Choose succulent tender crisp or flame grilled chicken breast. Try our 100% Aussie chicken breast wraps. Hungry Jack's, now delivering with menu log.
I've texted him, so I can't hear. Maybe I'll ring him.
Welcome back to Optus Stadium, round 8. There it is, the half-time score, as you see, 8-5, 53 to 2-7, 19, 34 points to margin. Bradshaw and Lim with a couple of goals. Marston got busy late in that second quarter. Has had the 12 disposals, Foley the 10. Cameron also had a better second quarter with 9. Let's take a look at some of the Hungry Jacks replays. And Claremont certainly dominated the early doors, and that was a goal to Tom Lee. Got the bounce that sent our commentator Steve Bandy into another postcode. He was very disappointed with that result. Had a couple of chances, didn't make the most of a couple of set shots, did the West Coast Eagles, but in the end, Claremont made them pay on the scoreboard, and really they've led from start to finish.
Yeah, Jai Bolton been electric so far in this Claremont midfield. 19 disposals, 8 inside 50s, giving him plenty of supply. Kane Mitchell getting the job done on this occasion, and this is going to be one of Ryan Lim's 2 goals of the quarter, providing quite the impact.
Yeah, he likes a goal, does Ryan Lim. Let's take a look as we look at some of the work here. This was a beautiful goal by Brander. This was a beautiful set shot. They missed a couple of easier ones than that from directly in front, but that was a much-needed goal. And this was the quick one. This was the return goal, straight out. Great pass from Bolton after a free kick, and Tom Ledger from just inside 50 metres. Let's take a look at the leading stat getters again for West Coast. 12 to Marston, 10 to Foley. Cameron's had 9, Gray 9. Started very strongly, did Brady Gray, thanks to Hungry Jacks, those highlights. 7 to Fisher, 7 to Jackson Nelson, who's back in the lineup. Played AFL last week. Archie just the 6. Allen just 6, and Brander also along with 6. And across to Claremont, no surprise, Jai Bolton 19, 17 Mitchell, 13 to Rogers, 11 to Ledger and Lim and Mountford as well. Overall, the match stats looks like this. 105 kicks and 54 handballs to Claremont and 40 marks. As we take a look at the score, West Coast just 81 kicks and 41 handballs, 29 marks. West Coast with 32 tackles alongside Clermont's 23. Hit-out started to even up a little bit in that second quarter. It's 21 Clermont, 28 to West Coast, but the inside 50s is where it's quite a big disparity. 26-16 in favour of the Tigers. So, West Coast being coached today by Adrian Hickmott, of course. Luke Webster, the normal coach, but they've just traded a couple of roles. Luke Webster doing the midfield and Adrian Hickmott doing the main coaching, just to change things up a little bit. Interesting to see what the West Coast Eagles can dish up in this second half. They've just got to get their hands on the footy, and they've also got to stop the dominant midfielders. Let's go boundary side, where it is an absolute glorious day. Working the boundary is West Coast Eagles AFLW star recruit, and all part of our waffle coverage. Thanks to Hungry Jacks. Here's Dana Hooker.
Thanks, Goss and Steve. Joined down on the boundary by Hamish Brayshaw here. Thanks for joining us. And
Thank you very much for having me. Thanks for having me.
No worries. And you started the waffle season incredibly well, but you've sustained a foot injury just recently, and that's kept you out since round 5. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that injury and when we'll be likely seeing you back out in the park?
Yeah, so against South Freo, I hurt my big toe, got it caught in a tackle and did sort of a minor turf toe-y sort of thing, which has held me out for about a month. But rehab's coming along well, and I should be back next week against West Perth.
Well, that's exciting news for the team, and they could definitely do with your help out there on the field today, and hoping to turn this game around now after half-time. But being a part of the inaugural side, there's obviously challenges that come with that, and bringing a new team together. How you feel the boys have gelled together this season?
I think it's been a really good start to the year. We haven't won as many games as we would have liked, but the unity's there. We've got a great bunch of boys that have come from the Amos to fill up the rest of our list, and the AFL boys that are coming down and playing are embracing every time we come down and play, so we love it. Hopefully we can turn around this second half, but as for the team sort of themselves, we all love playing, so it's great.
Bit of a different question for you. I've met both your brothers before, and they talk about this 100 100s on Christmas Day, and so it seems a bit crazy how you're doing it, but the interest I have is, as brothers and as all professional athletes, there'd be this competitive instinct between you all. Who's the front runner and who seems to take it out on the day?
Angus is typically the front runner. He's just a little bit quicker and a little bit fitter than the rest of us. But over the last couple of years, Andrew and I have sort of picked it up and have got close to him. Andrew was very, very sick last year when we did it, so he was just battling along and got the job done. But yeah, it's usually Angus out in front.
Oh, well, hopefully this year you can show them how it's done, the West Coast style. But thanks very much for joining us on the boundary here, Hamish Brayshaw, and we look forward to seeing you back out there next week.
No worries. Thanks very much, Dana.
Good on you. Thanks, Dana, and thanks to Hamish Brayshaw. Thanks for having me, Brayshaw. Ball is underway in the second half.
Ball's inside West Coast forward 50 for the time being. Lucy makes sure it's not there for very long, just hacks the kick out. Riak leads in the race. Handball inside's a Perler, finds Nelson. And a bit of share here with Josh Smith. Pumps it long to the pocket. Brooksby with the one hand, just palms it down to Reed. Shirks one tackle, but runs out of luck in the end. Claremont striding out of there, back 50. Lim shares, bit of 1-2 with the ruckman. Oh, sets a task for Mountford, and don't the Eagles just pounce on the opportunity too, and they'll lock it up inside the centre square.
Starting 34 points down, the West Coast Eagles. Just trying to look at some of the way that they've set up here at West Coast. Nothing new, but Claremont have certainly got just a barren inside 50. Tom Lee standing on his own.
Williams wins the hit out, sends it a little bit wide. Lucy, again, winning a nice hard footy. Underground handball to Martinez. Dinky kick off the left is ill-directed, and Foley, yet another intercept grab.
Keegan Brooksby standing at full forward, being manned up by former West Coast Eagle listed player Anton Hamp.
Goes across the face. Brander's got to do well at ground level. The handball's a little untidy. Claremont have numbers. Tracy works up the ground. Oh, gee, how's a little bit of 1-2 there with his Cable Beach ex-teammate, and current teammate, in fact, in Oakley, but the kick forward's a little bit ill-directed, and it's all West Coast to mop up.
Yeah, they got past Archie a little bit easier there than that little, as you mentioned, that volleyball sort of set up by the two Cable Beach boys. Would have liked to have seen Brendan just a little bit harder at the contest.
Marston, little dart pass, finds Mutimer. He wants to come across the face. He's got Gray open. Geez, it's going to go over his head by a sizable margin. Has Rotham on the outside. Good support.
Here we go.
Takes it cleanly. Archie's got a ton of time. Feeds Rotham. Hasn't got too many options. Geez, he's mucked up the bounce, though. Has to work hard, and the umpire's going to pay contact below the knees. They've made a bit of a meal of it, Tim.
Yeah, well, he fell over to try and get that ball back and slid underneath. Here it is, the replay. Yeah, I think that's what the rule is for, and that's the one that can be a little bit dangerous. I think that's a fair call from the umpire.
Always hard to swallow when you do get first hands on the ball, but it's the way of the rule, unfortunately. Williams provides a contest. Nelson's taken high a couple of times. Umpire said, not from my angle.
Chris Marston arguing the toss with the umpire. That was high every day of the week. Very, very unlucky, West Coast. And that's why players get a little frustrated like they are there. Jackson Nelson was taken high, viciously so, should have got a free.
Good run up there from Williams, can't capitalise. Mitchell. Zip on cue, the high tackle's there, but it ain't going our way. Kane Mitchell, is it 50? Not this time, not this time. The former Port Adelaide product, 35 games for the mighty Power. Had 30 disposals and 10 tackles the last time we met back in round 4. He's certainly a star of this level competition as Fisher escorts it over the line.
He's come off the ground too, Kane Mitchell.
Two-time BNF winner for the Tigers. Can play, Tim.
Yeah, gave it away too. Went travelling with the partner, our wife, I think, and went overseas as well, and lured back by the Tigers. And geez, a fit boy, Kane Mitchell.
Goddard v Williams. Ball hits the deck. Bennett collects. Just jams it forward. Niedermer in best position. Takes the relieving chest mark.
Yeah, got to try something new here. Brandon might be the target eventually if they can keep flaring the ball wide.
They want to stretch the ground here a little, West Coast. Marston does so, finds Brander, getting a little bit busier as this game unfolds. Clever kick inside the corridor. Look at the run from Jackson Nelson, streaming through the middle of Optus Stadium. Puts it inside for Salamone. Gee, great tackle there. West Coast win it back. Roubiliard needs to get it on the inside. Does so eventually. Hug sends a high ball to the top of the square. Who's there? Archie leaves, can't take it. Ground level, Salamone. Unable to capitalise in the end. Slams it into the post, Tim.
Good run through the midfield, West Coast. I think that's shortest way home, might be the best way home for them at the moment. Trying to take Clermont on their own game.
Martinez dummies around Marston with a bit of ease. Sends it to the flank. Mutimer needs to hold strong. Goes to ground. Tracy, what a little instep. Beats the ruckman, but Mutimer makes amends. Terrific tackle. Not winning the award, but West Coast will capitalise. Brady Grace kicks a bit of a stinker, and doesn't O'Neill just slam his opponent into the deck. Loved every minute of that.
Yeah, it's getting fairly willing, as we saw to half-time, and even coming off the ground at half-time. There's not a lot of love lost between these, albeit a big margin on the scoreboard, but out in the middle, they're certainly mixing it up.
Clever tap there from Williams, finds Archie. Just thumps it long inside 50. Brooksby creates a contest. Roubiliard's dispossessed. Rogers draws the teammate. Hardest he shares. Gee, what an absolute mongrel kick there from Lim, going a bit of Champions League style, and sends it out of play.
Good pressure stuff from Keegan Brooksby as well then. Wasn't, even though he was outside and had a smaller play getting away off him, he sort of laid a hand on the tackle. Good stuff.
Nick Reed says, I want to send it long. Williams floating across the front of the pack. Takes a terrific mark. And a chance for Bailey Williams, kicking the winning goal the last time these two sides met him. He can make a scoreboard impact in the early going of the third quarter.
Yeah, he's getting much more of an opportunity in the midfield, in the ruck, and getting around the ground. Brooksby's sort of standing predominantly inside the forward 50 at the moment. So Bailey Williams is showing his athleticism. This is a good sign.
West Coast will be desperate to nail the first of this second half. And this will be one of the better chances they get for the day, you would think. Bailey Williams starts it right, but it's holding its line. Terrific work there from West Coast. Let's hope it's a start of things to come in the second half.
Yeah, good start. Well done. Much better ball use, and then good desperation inside their forward 50. And that's a good clunky mark too by big Bailey Williams. Just if you're watching, courtesy of Hungry Jacks, our Facebook and YouTube feed of this waffle action, Josh Smith has had a jumper change too. I think he's gone from 45 to 47. So if you're seeing a number 47 out there, that is being worn by Josh Smith, whose only league appearance in the AFL this year for West Coast was at this venue, and held himself in good form in that game, and I'm sure opportunities will come up again before the season's out for Josh Smith.
1-0, you'll take that.
Every day of the week.
Bailey Williams, terrific goal there, originally out of the Dandenong Stingrays. Actually been goalless the last couple of weeks, so I'm sure he'll be thrilled to notch that one in the scorecard as we see him back in the centre bounce here.
Matthew Allen and Jai Bolton, not a lot of love going on between those two, and Mitchell and O'Neill as well. So got some jobs to do here, the West Coast Eagles, on the two-star Claremont midfielders.
Bailey Williams doing it at ground level now, searching for Gray but can't find him. Bennett strong through the hips, sends the clearing kick to centre half forward. Fisher with the spoil, but right into the hands of Bradshaw. Little left foot pass. What a spoil there from Rotham. Great contest at ground level. Oakley has a couple of options. Eastland's one of them. Terrific tackle there from Hug. Umpire says got rid of it legally. Oakley back on it, but he's claimed.
Much better.
Terrific defensive work there from the Coasties.
Yeah, Tom Lee was just writing that one down in the footy budget when he arrived. Beautiful work by the West Coast Eagles defence.
Oh, what a high leap there from Williams. Can't find the intended midfielder. But geez, he's got some hops, the ex-basketballer. Like the look of him.
This is much better, really much better at both ends of the ground here for West Coast.
Gonna stay focused here though. Don't want to give up easy goals. Claremont have a loose man back. Oh, what a pick up there from Jared Brander.
Nothing on.
Kicks it, snap over the top. Anton Ham, outstretched hands. Collects with ease. That's a quality switch. Oh, Beck drops an absolute soda. Brady Gray hot on his tail. Moves past a couple of defenders and spots a loose target inside 50. Nick retakes it. Oh, Beck, nowhere to hide out here on Optus Stadium after that one.
No, it's a firm surface. You need a very sharp shovel to dig a hole there. So, wow, back-to-back goals. This would be rare, and all of a sudden they're back in. And if he can kick this, 3.5 goals, when at half-time it was all about the margin for Claremont, comes from good pressure. Great spoil on Lee down back by Rotham. Everything starts to change around the ground. Williams takes a good mark. They're forced to turn over. Reid has to score. Has to kick the goal here to lift.
2 goals last week against Swan Districts. Comes in.
Has to kick the goal.
Doesn't make the most of it.
Seriously.
That's
3-9.
Claremont move it quickly. Finds Mitchell. He in turn, a little short one to the pocket. This is Martinez.
A lot of wasted chances, Stump. A lot of wasted chances. A lot of easy 40-metre set shots they've missed. I reckon 3 or 4 now I can count. There's that player 57. That's Josh Smith.
Beck able to gobble this one up on the chest on this occasion. Pumps it long down the line. Pack develops. Fisher does well. Feeds Gray. Wants to just pump it in long. Bit of a chaos bowl. Brooksby. Too many options, but to let his partner escort it over.
Little CJ Oakley went to tackle Brady Gray then and ricocheted off him. Oh, that would have hurt. Here's the replay. He kicks it. Bang. And he came off second best, I reckon, CJ Oakley. And Brady Gray just got him again. Here's just a little bit more for good measure.
Throw in. Forward pocket for the West Coast Eagles. It's an absolute snotter of a throw in.
Throw it. What do these guys have for breakfast?
Not the wheat bix, I wouldn't have thought. He'll have another crack at it though.
Come in 5 metres if you can't reach. Come on. Oh, he's done it again.
Geez, he skied a pitching wedge to the forward pocket.
What is going on?
In the end, West Coast are going to lose about 40 metres here because they're going to have another chance at a throw-in. Not so dangerous area.
And I'm a fan of the boundary umpires. They do a remarkable job, especially at this waffle level. And, you know, they're not getting huge bucks, and it's a lot of work and time and effort. The bottom line is, 1, call it when it's out, and 2, throw it deep. That's better.
Fractionally, still a little bit short. Brooksby, front position. Oh, a couple of Eagles collide. Nick Reed's there at the foot of the ball.
Trying to be nice.
And we'll have another throw in. She wouldn't, West Coasters. Love to snag on here.
Yes, and they all of a sudden starting Claremont. There's not a lot of free play for Claremont. Not a lot of easy ball through the midfield. Good organisation down back.
Throw a blanket over about 40 here at this throw in. Kane Mitchell, a little bit fumbly. Ball at ground level. Bennett's there. A few Eagles tie him up. In the end, Ashman just pumps a long kick into the pocket.
Good.
And West Coast create a contest and send it out of play.
That's just good. So they made a contest. It was 3-on-2. Claremont probably thought they were going to take the mark. And there it is there. Just force it over the line. Reset again. Now, if you're a ruckman here and this boundary umpire's throwing the ball in, go and stand in front. And if you're a West Coast Eagle small forward, get in front of the pack. Because the chances of it going over the back, not very much, not likely.
West Coast sending a man loose in defence. Claremont trying to equalise. Ball heading out toward the line. Pack converges. Mountford there. at the coal face, as to his Bennett. Pushed off his kick. A bit of scrappy play here on the left forward flank, and in the end, the boundary umpire will take control.
Yeah, change it over, give this boundary umpire a crack at it. I reckon the elbow might be a little bit tired.
So you can see Claremont dead set keen to equalise. They've got speedy runners out the back, so West Coast really need to watch the counter here. They're going to switch it back in board, make sure they provide a contest and lock it up or hit a target. Ball in dispute. Oh, Mountford is absolutely dumped, and the umpire has some wits about him. No dangerous tackle call.
He started in blaze of glory, did Declan Mountford. They've seemed to have curtailed him, and they are doing a better job on Mitchell and also Jai Bolton here, West Coast.
Brooksby, terrific body work. No. Umpire says not legal, though.
No, it wasn't legal. You can't do that too early. You can do that when the ball's about to come down, but not when the ball's going on the way up. Correct call.
Excellent. The recipient lowers the eyes, finds Mitchell.
There's too much interference.
Okay, Mitchell. I don't think it's panic stations at all here from Claremont, but the ball certainly living inside West Coast forward half of the ground as Josh Rotham again with that golden fist sends it out of bounds. As we said, the job today on Tom Lee, young Josh Rotham. Certainly going to be looking after some of the monsters in this waffle competition. Still very young, Josh Rotham. Recently signed a couple-of-year contract extension with the club, which I'm sure will be very relieving for fans to see. That key defensive stalwart stocks for West Coast looking very strong, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. And interesting enough, also looking a little bit more promising is the inside 50 count too in favour of Claremont, but the gap has certainly come back together. West Coast starting to get a lot more of the footy in the forward half.
O'Neill finds Allen, just dribbles a kick up the line, and West Coast gained a bit of meterage.
Hearing from Dana Hooker on the boundary line, Dana said, this is a stat for you boys, thanks to Hungry Jacks. This is the 10th boundary throw-in at this side of the ground in the last 4 minutes of play. Good stat.
I'd much rather it be here than the other side. I'll give you the hot tip. As Williams infringed, a little bit of a push in the back there, I feel. In fact, it's going to a midfielder, so perhaps not. Oh, no, it is going to the ruckman, and that should have been 50 metres.
Yes, it was a pretty lax throwback by young Jared Cameron. I mean, you wouldn't want to be doing that in an AFL game, let me tell you right here and now.
The umpire was a bit busy telling whose kick it actually was. Didn't see it return, so happy days. Tom Lee flies, as does Rotham. Bradshaw's going to be the first on the scene. Good contest there from Williams. Worries him out of it.
Guess what? It's another boundary throw on the side of the ground. In between the interchange and 50, there's been 11 boundary throw-ins to our knowledge inside 15 minutes. And that's another terrible boundary.
Well, his arm's going to fall off. He's had 11 of them in 5 minutes. Oh, a sling tackle when he didn't have it. You can see that from the next suburb over.
Yeah, they're starting to get frustrated here, West Coast, and now Claremont want to take them on at their own game. They're out here.
Bolton, the risky kick in board's going to favour Smallwood. Rebillard wearing him, can't go to ground there. Little tap is clever. Finds Martinez, back to Rogers. Kick inside forward 50. Tracy had acres of room. Riak has 2 to contend with. The blind handball back to Rogers. Oh, Nelson does his best to interfere, but Richardson collects a high ball. Top of the square. Good contest from both teams there. Oh, gee, look at Curnow just pinch it from ground level. Finds Marston, and West Coast able to get out of their defensive 50. They escape an absolute bullet. The kick's a snotter, though. Smallwood waits with no one around him. Oh, don't you dare, umpire. He doesn't. Easy mark from Bolton, too far out to score.
Joel Ashman coming off the ground. Dana Hooker on the boundary line, keeping an eye on whether that's an injury or not. Doesn't look too flash.
Bolton wants to square it, a bit more corridor. Oh, early leap there from Bradshaw against Archie. And the umpire says no hand on it, a legal attempt.
Interesting, we go back when we were talking about how many boundary throw-ins on this side of the ground, how quickly Bolton wanted to change direction. Claremont made a meal of it, but gee, Bolton's such a thinker. He said, we're not going to get it out of here. We can't just give it back to them. He changed direction.
Archie's kick had a fair bit of risk on it. Marston's got 3 to beat in the end. Good.
And
the cavalry arrives through Fisher.
3-on-1, he beat him.
Bit of 1-2 with Curnow. Just strikes it down the line, and all of a sudden, Hug's got some room. Claremont have the numbers, got a pinpoint with this pass. Finds Reed. Tough angle, but he is a left footer. Archer's back, sends it to the top of the square. West Coast provide a contest. Good pick up there from Cameron, but he's claimed immediately. And Claremont giving an inch on that occasion.
That kick from inside, I think it might have been Reed, needed to come deeper. He did have a man inside. I reckon it was Salamone. He probably needed to get more on that kick.
Loose footy Top of the goal square. Numbers arrive. Mountford goes to ground. Nick Reid attacks it. Matty Allen snap from a tough angle. He's put it through.
They're coming. They are coming, and they're coming on basic hard work. They've absolutely lifted their work rating. Claremont are trying to mix it physically, but I can tell you right now, West Coast are not taking a backward step, and that was, and I'll go back to even further. Let's go back to the half-back flank where Marston was outnumbered 3-on-1, and he did not let up on that contest. Hats off Chris Marston. They won the footy. They worked it forward. That is reward for effort, and they are coming. The margin back to 26 points.
1 goal 3 to West Coast in the term to Claremont. Yet to register the scorers, Tim.
Actually, it's 20 points now. It's late putting the goal up, so well done. So back to 20 points. All of a sudden, it's a winnable margin that they can achieve here. Well done to Truck Allen. Nice work.
Good to see him back after being the travelling emergency for the AFL against the Adelaide Crows matchup. Really is a force to be reckoned with is Matty Allen, averaging a career-high 21 disposals in the 2019 Waffle season. His 4th year on the list. He's been thrown a bit of every direction thus far, Tim. Bit of forward, bit of back, bit of mid. Can do it all. Would love to see him get a chance at the top level.
And he's playing his role in this quarter too. Bolton did get that one clear possession to the other side. Now, it was a free kick by the non-controlling umpire. It's going to go Claremont's way.
Mitchell was just playing his own game for the time being.
The umpire pointed the wrong way. The non-controlling umpire...
Oh, Jackson Nelson got in the way there of Archie. Can't wait to see that again through replay. Disaster for West Coast is concerned. Nelson just shrugs about 3 would-be tacklers and lucky to get away with it.
Here it is.
Archie almost put off by Jackson Nelson, coming in for a smother he never intended. Inside forward 50, Brooksby provides a contest against 2 Tigers. Hamp just hacks it out of there, but it's all Eagles coming back through Brander. Lowers the eyes, kick over the top. Williams spills the chest mark. Mitchell, no chance to tackle the big fella. Brander shrugs the tackle with style, left foot kick. Here's Salamone, goes over the back. Can Cameron pounce? Terrific tackle there from Cameron. But Claremont, with a cool head, able to clear. This is Lim. Curnow up to meet him. Needs to stick the tackle. That's a wonderful effort there from Curnow, and the umpire says hold in the ball.
Whole game, whole team is lifted here. Limo, he had Richardson out here. Just needed to get past Curnow. Great tackle. Again, Brander strong, Cameron strong. Good football, West Coast. They are right back in this game. Reward for effort, sheer hard work, sheer 1%ers getting the footy.
Mitch Curnow just kicking for distance to the pocket. Front position with Smallwood, went through his hands. Salamone feeds Gray. He spills loose in the tackle. Ball in dispute. But a pack forms, umpires pick one out. It's going the way of West Coast though. It's going to be Cameron the recipient, is it? It is, picking himself up from the bottom of the pack.
Inside 50s have turned around on the head. Here's the replay. Hot ball in there. There, the right hand coming over the top. McGee, I think it might have been, coming in, just a strong tackle on a bloke who's vulnerable on the ground. Needs to kick it. He's missed one set shot in the second quarter. Needs to kick it from 20 metres out directly in front.
After 4 last week, yet to trouble the scorers on this occasion. Going to line up from about 25 metres out. Cameron, oh, he's hooked the pants off it. An absolute golden opportunity for West Coast to seriously challenge the Tigers here in this 3rd term. They're doing so already, but 4 goals, 10 is just a yucky sight on that scoreboard.
His 10th disposal, 2 points, and but they've got to stick at it. They've got to stick at it now. They're still down by 19 points. Got to keep the pressure up. And here it is. That came again from Cameron, putting the pressure on the Mitchell kick.
Good take there from Robiliard. Had to turn his back mid-fly to the ball. He goes to the pocket. Nick Reid's got 2 to beat. Salamone at ground level. Just a hack snap kick forward. It was always going to be tough from there. And in the end, a throw-in, probably a win as far as West Coast are concerned.
Yeah, well, they don't mind this. They've been living again inside that forward 50.
It's Paul Boundary umpire, mate. Yeah. It's going to drop off in a minute, his arm.
Yeah, it's the same bloke too. They haven't switched him over. Give him a rest, go to the far side.
Can you do that?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, they can.
I don't know about that. Throw in. Williams front position. Good hit out there from Goddard. Oh, the one-handed pickup wasn't too shabby. Quick kick forward, top of the goal square. Brooksby provided a contest. Smallwood changed his decision, wants to come back to the broadcast side, and Marston with a diving catch in the slip cordon. And Chris Marston, I'm telling you, is one of the better snap kicks in this West Coast Eagles entire squad. Does he have the distance to do it from 40 out, though?
probably on his range. This is his 16th disposal, and he has really lifted his team. Just about 5 minutes prior to half-time, he was the catalyst, I reckon, between West Coast getting back in it.
In the end, too far out for the snap. Chris Marston, it's a little bit skinny, much like him and I. And it's through for a minor score, Tim. Inaccurate kicking costing the side today.
It cost him last week. They get 2-7, didn't they, in the last quarter? 4-11, 35 to 8-5, 53.
Yeah, but the game was a little bit done and dusted by three-quarter time. You and I know that, Tim.
They were at 'em, mate. Swan Districts have been terrible in the last quarter for all year. Lost many, many games in the last quarter. If they'd kicked straight, they could have won it last week.
Turn it up, Bill. Turn it up. Kick down the line. The fly from Rotham. Williams went also. Good hack kick forward from Ashman. Oh, terrific handball. Opened things up from Marston. But in the end, Foley was well claimed. Footy up for grabs here just inside the forward 50 for West Coast. And look at the defensive pressure. They're not letting the ball out with ease in this term.
Completely different West Coast Eagles. And whatever happened prior to half-time, that push and shove, is certainly having its effect on Claremont because they are not getting any easy footy.
Archie wins a hard contested ball. They've lost a bit of territory here, but Marston, hack kick forward, goes inside 50. Who wants it here for West Coast? Rubilia Salamone flies. Blind handball's going to favour Claremont because Smallwood's first on it. Little check side pass is an absolute perler. Tracy steps inside two Eagles and does it a third time if you don't mind. Short little kick finds Richardson. West Coast need to hurry back in numbers here. Assesses his options. Likes Tracy in the pocket. Going to go over his head. Tommy Lee there, as to his Rotham. Out the back, Bradshaw. Can he get the bounce? No, it can't, but here he is, Oakley. No one's anywhere near him. Ducks back inside. Can't find a target. Kieran Hug held without it, and that's a let-off as far as West Coast are concerned.
Terrible disposal by Oakley. Really just had to hit Lim. He would have been having a set shot, and now 50 metres. Game has changed enormously. Claremont are no longer the clean ball, running the ball through the middle, and when they do, West Coast are getting back in great numbers.
Smith feeds Marston, going inside the corridor. The kick's an absolute perler. Finds Gray. Open forward 50 for West Coast. The option's in the pocket. It's Williams. Claremont arrive in support. Nick Reed shrugs the tackle. Back on the left boot. What a finish from Nick Reed.
That's his second, Nick Reed. That's his best goal as a member of this West Coast Eagles footy team. And all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, that is a ridiculous thing to say because this is just sheer hard work. Claremont, in this quarter, have not bothered the scorer. West Coast, 3 goals, 4. And this is all one-way traffic. And boy, Claremont started short price favourites, 4th versus 8th. We haven't commentated a winning game courtesy of Hungry Jack since doing the Waffle live feed on Facebook and YouTube.
In danger of the axe, I hear, Tim.
You?
Everyone. It's not working, is it?
No, it is working because people are getting on the Facebook and they are telling us that they are enjoying the coverage right around the country, and they'd be glued to Facebook right now and YouTube as their team is pouring on the pressure.
3 goals, 4 to no score in the quarter. Here come the Eagles. Loose footy. Mutum has claimed it's got to be holding the ball. It is. Slung around a few times, had a chance to get rid of it. They just need to hold on here, West Coast. They've played 26 minutes. The siren not too far away.
I don't know about that.
Umpire calls play on. Mountford kicks it right into Mutimer. Gee, West Coast, everything going right for him in this term. Ashman assessing his options. Little kick in board finds Brander. Claremont are playing the loose man behind play, so you can't blaze away. Here comes Nelson. The wide option is on. A little bit too wide for Smith, but he collects. Big ball, this one. Sends to the hot spot. Kieran Hug almost in best position. Loose footy. Marston the first to arrive. Here's the voice. Back feed to Brander. Steps around his opponent. Back to Chris Marston. A check side from 50. I wouldn't have thought, Chris. And Claremont deal with it. Send it over the goal line.
Yeah, under enormous pressure, aren't they, there? Claremont defence. 17 scoring shots to 13 and within 2 goals. And still got time to add more. Still got time to add more. I'll be very surprised if we don't get past 30 minutes in this quarter.
Chris Marston, obviously pretty high hopes of that left foot of his on that occasion.
I don't think he was having shot. He was just trying to pop it up to Bailey Williams, wasn't he? But then again.
Martinez just wants to get it out of there for the time being. Lands in Josh Smith's hands. He's claimed by a couple of Tigers, and the umpire will ball it up. Keegan Brooksby looking for Archie. Mitchell disrupts that flow. In the end, he creates yet another stoppage. A tremendous fight back here from West Coast. Things were looking very dire at half time.
Yes, bleak is a word I'd use as well. Dire and bleak. Good word, Thump.
Mitchell, his tap goes inboard. A ton of numbers around this footy. Bennett attempts to burrow through the pack, but in the end, the siren sounds, calling time on this third quarter of the stadium. But we have a game here, Tim Gossage.
Yeah, 28 minutes. I reckon, yes, we do. 8:5:53 to 5:12:42. Are they 28-minute quarters with no time on because we're playing at this venue? Because I reckon that's the third quarter that's dead on 28 minutes.
I hope someone could send something in and tell us what's going on. We should probably know that, but we do not.
21 points to margin. Make that 11 points to margin. 8:5:53. The board's doing all crazy things, but we'll go off our own perfect graphics right there. 8:5:53 to 5:12:42. Courtesy of Hungry Jacks, you're watching the West Coast Eagles Waffle live feed. And the West Coast Eagles had a very good second term. Back with more shortly.
What? They do wraps?
Yeah, Hungry Jack's new chicken wraps with bacon and avocado. Choose succulent tender crisp or flame grilled chicken breast. Try our 100% Aussie chicken breast wraps. Hungry Jack's, now delivering with menu log.
When I retire, I guess I want to be able to look back and say that I didn't leave anything in the tank. So I grew up in Melbourne, Victoria. Ever since I can remember, I always loved footy. Some of my earliest memories are trying to kick my ball over the power lines in the street when I was about 3 or 4, so didn't reach for a couple of years. As soon as I started playing, I fell in love with the team environment and club environment. When I was approaching my middle teenage years, I figured out I probably need to do a few extra things to help me along the way, and a lot of that was the way I started to watch what I ate, trained a little bit more, sometimes to my detriment. You know, I had a few injuries as a teenager, probably from overtraining, and so there's always that fear in the back of your mind, what if I don't get picked up and what if I'm not good enough? So draft day was nerve-wracking for myself, and being 18 and being told that in 3 days' time you got to jump on a plane and go across to Western Australia where I'd never been before. It was scary, but at the same time I was appreciative of the opportunity that I'd been given. I suppose my first goal was just play a game, and yeah, getting told I had OP was frustrating. As a 18-year-old, I'd been at the club for 2 months and just wanted to go hammer and tong with training, and yeah, got told that I'd have 3 or 4 months out. So that was frustrating. But yeah, about a week after I'd been told I had osteoarthritis pubis, my sister passed away, and that was in the lead up to the first NAB Cup game, and with all the disappointment of missing out on that and being injured, yeah, it just gave me a reality check on that injuries probably aren't the worst thing in the world. I got over my OP and was in my second game back, I think, midway through the year, and fractured my leg, so that effectively ruled me out for the rest of the season. Again, I don't know whether I was being naive or what, but I kept thinking to myself, hopefully a 13, 14-year career, and this first year we can just start the slate clean next pre-season. And I was of the opinion that what I was missing out on as an 18-year-old, I'll get an extra year out of myself at the back end. Once I'd been ruled out for the rest of the 2009 season, round 1, 2010 was my goal. I spoke to John Worsfold, my coach at the time. I said to him, look, I'm only 19, but I want to be in your round 1 team. What have I got to do, and where I need to get to as a player, and what I need to do over pre-season. And yeah, had a reasonably good summer. I stayed injury-free for the most part, and yeah, got through most of it, and was fortunate enough to debut round 1. Yeah, coming back, got close to playing again, and then got glandular fever, so there was no real time frame on when I was going to be back, that was probably the toughest thing, not knowing when you could get back. And for me, it was get healthy as quick as I can, and then worry about training and getting ready to play again. 2011 was a turning point for me. I guess just getting my body right and being able to play every game was big for my confidence. Losing in 2015, I suppose you wonder whether you'll ever get the opportunity again. And then I think in 2017 we probably took a step back as a playing group. We probably didn't play the footy we needed to bat deep into finals, but felt as though everything was in place, everything except the way we were playing. You think you can imagine what it's like to win one, but then when you actually do it, it's just a whole new level. For me, it was 10 years, so my 10 years of training and playing, everything was justified just by winning that one game. Becoming a dad has been, the best thing in my life, I suppose, and premiership's a close second, but I think there's no doubt it helps you as a footballer because we're in such a chaotic environment, and to go home at the end of the day and be around a little son or daughter who wouldn't even know what football is at the moment is kind of refreshing. Resilience is the most important trait any kid needs coming into the game these days, and even not in the AFL, but really any field of life, there's going to be adversity at some point. So I want to be around my teammates and coaches and training as often as I can, because I know when I retire one day I'll miss it, and being able to understand how lucky we actually are to live where we do, for me and for plenty of kids around the country who are going through any sort of obstacle. Yeah, I guess having your sights set on where you want to be at the end, more so than where you are at the start, is important.
Down on the boundary, I'm joined by Gavin Bell, Head of Development here for the West Coast Eagles. Gavin, a really great turnaround in this third quarter for the team, showing some resilience, which we've seen in the past few weeks, particularly from the younger players. What are your thoughts on the game so far?
Yeah, look, the first half we certainly didn't play the way we want to play, and that quarter we sort of got back to our brand about playing really good energy and spirit and effort around the ball, so it was really pleasing.
We've seen some debutants in the past few weeks, particularly the ones coming up from the amateur football clubs as well that have joined the West Coast list, and we also see players coming in and out supporting the AFL team back and forth. How have you found that dynamics worked?
Yeah, the connection amongst the group's been really great. We just ask whoever comes back and plays to play to their strengths and give us the energy that really drives our performances. So that's what it's about for us, and giving the AFL selectors plenty of options going forward as needed.
Yeah, most definitely. And a lot of the boys are talking about establishing this brand of football for the team, being in its inaugural year with West Coast. What do you want to see from the boys?
I just want to see us compete, really, and we just want to see a way that's going to stand up regardless of what grade that you play, that you're developing, you're improving your strengths, but also the areas that you need to become an AFL player for us.
Thanks for your insights, Gavin, and best of luck for the rest of the game.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Good on you, Dana, and thanks to Gavin Bell. It is 11 points West Coast, and Claremont have the ball inside their forward 50. You're watching the Waffle Feed, thanks to Hungry Jacks.
Archie emerges with it, finds Cameron, shakes the tackler on the broadcast wing. Umpires bringing it back as we see Jackson Nelson have a little bit of a hobble. Let's hope he's not coming straight to the boundary.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing, and he's shrugged off the trainers and he's limping off. Doesn't look well. Dana will be keeping an eye on that. And we've just had it confirmed by the WA Football League that all quarters are locked in at 28 minutes. They were late to tell us that. 28 minutes because of the AFL fixture, so the game must be completed by a certain time. So 28-minute quarter. So you'd run the clock down and you'd know what's going on.
Fair point. No more suspense in store for the countdown. Brooksby wins the hit out on this occasion. Ledger wrapped up well by Cameron. Such a tackling machine.
Inside 50s have levelled 32 apiece. Remarkable turnaround by the Eagles. In that quarter, Claremont didn't score. West Coast kicked 3 goals, 5, and probably had the chance to almost level things up on the scoreboard.
A couple of Eagles. Archie buries his man to the turf. Oh, we've had a couple of umpires look at each other. You go, I go, you go. No, Claremont goes.
He paid a trip, but it was more in the back if we take a look there. Oh, the low one came from Cameron and Archie over the top.
High ball. Bradshaw stays down for Claremont, almost collects an easy goal, but the truck, Matty Allen, just bangs it out of there. Is it going to be deliberate? Umpire thought about it.
Keep an eye on Jackson Nelson down there. Dana will be keeping an eye on him because he's a key component to the West Coast Eagles AFL team, of course. Was playing last week, only lost his spot through Lewis Jetta's return from suspension. Horses for courses under Adam Simpson.
Keegan Brooksby, too strong there in the ruck contest. Sends it to the wing. Terrific pick up there from Reed. Finds Brander. West Coast streaming through the middle. on the attack. Matty Allen slung out of it and holding the ball's a decision.
He's a hard little tackler, this kid, Oakley. CJ.
Oakley wants to go to the flank. West Coast with numbers, but it's small. Brady Gray's one of them. Brings it to ground. Oh, the little kick over the top. Reed had to hold his turf. He did well.
He's kicked 2 goals, the multiple goal kicker for West Coast.
Left foot to left foot. Reed to Mutimer. Has to get past the Mountford tackle. Cannot. He did eventually, but the umpire said that's too much time for my liking. And what a tackle there from Mountford.
Yeah, great tackle. And West Coast had a nice one-on-one inside 50 as well. That's a let-off for Claremont, but great tackling. A couple of great tackles now.
Little chip there from Lucy to Lim. Takes one bounce, finds Mitchell, lowers the eyes to the pocket. Bradshaw. He has Foley right on his hammer, and he's able to put the ball out of play.
Well, they've got to keep on going, as we heard from Gavin Bell down there with Dana at 3/4 time. They just liked it. They were playing energetic football, hard footy, in and under footy, and it was led by Chris Marston, who picked up 12 disposals in that 3rd quarter.
What a monster performance that was.
Great quarter, wasn't it?
Matty Allen in 2 different minds there. Finds Hug eventually. O'Neill ducks back inside. Sends a bit of a chaos ball to the corridor. Big footy to be won here. Bennett receives to full forward. Bradshaw flew a little early. Fisher stays down. Kicks it into the intended smotherer there. And it's all Claremont here. Bolton with a bit of poise. Sends a check side ball inside 50. Brooksby, a high-flying spoil. Richardson finds Tommy Lee, and Claremont first on the board here in this final quarter.
It might have come at a price, though. Tommy Lee is down, grabbing that right ankle, that right leg after he kicked that goal. More at the foot, I think. I'll tell you what, that hurts West Coast. That's their first goal since late in that 2nd quarter. Well done, Richardson. And the experienced players were both back in. Oh, yeah, fell across his foot there in, of course, in Rotherham. And that really did hurt Tom Lee's kicking foot. But he still got the goal, and that takes the energy out of West Coast's comeback, of course. First goal since half-time. 9-5-59 to 5-12-42. Tom Lee with 2.
Yeah, a bit of a flattening result there. West Coast would have loved to have put the clamps down and put this contest within 1 major. Couldn't do so, but plenty of time remaining here. Got to keep their heads up, start winning the footy here at the contest. No better start in this centre bounce. It's all Claremont on this occasion. Bennett wins out, sends a high ball to centre half forward. West Coast bring it to ground. Tom Lee tries to run through Mutimer, can't. And Claremont through Smallwood, able to provide another stoppage.
Mark Veenstra on Facebook says, please, Gossage, could you put a shout out to Nisha, my wife, who's putting up with my love for the Eagles? Okay, good on you, Nisha, and good on you, Mark, and don't forget you've got another game to come. Not only this one, but the senior fixture as well.
Ledger sharks the hit out. Ball's a bit hard to collect from Eastland. Nelson back on the ground, good to see. Rogers overruns it. Good pick up there from Lim. Great support from Robilliard, puts on a bit of defensive pressure, and Eagles tackling, you can't fault it. Umpire not going to pay deliberate there. Need to make it hard for this Claremont midfield to get things going. Umpire's going to send it back into play. Brooksby can't find a teammate, does it himself. Sends it high, Claremont 2v1. Anton Ham, great use of the body on Salamone. Takes an easy grab.
Yeah, they're out here too. Beck is on his own.
Sends it to Smallwood. Oh, what a smother there from Josh Smith. Bit of individual brilliance here. Jared Brander, can he find a target? Little snap round the corner. Oh, he's been set upon. Straight away, Salamone picks it up. Still a chance, bit of room. No. He's put an absolute sandwich to the top of the goal square. Cameron needs to provide an option. He does. Ball at ground level. West Coast doing their best to give it straight back to the Tigers. Oh. And in the end, a little relieving kick finds Mitchell on the back flank.
Oh, they were out, Claremont, on the switch. West Coast did well to win the ball back, and then West Coast absolutely slaughtered all of that inside 50.
I thought Brander was going to have a ping from outside 50 in there.
Should have had the shot.
Tyron Smallwood.
There are times you have to be selfish.
Sends it down the line, Brooksby. He's dispossessed in a hurry. Good tackle from Tracy. Little dab kick from Mountford. Good spoil there from Mitchy Curnow. And he takes it away from Richardson, puts it out of play. Josh Smith, I almost thought he was going to have goal of the millennium there. You're right, Claremont had the loose player on the wing. Set up for an easy inside 50 entry. Throw in, Goddard. Hits it straight back towards the line. Tom Mitchell almost heading into the West Coast Eagles dugout, as we see a lot of the West Coast Eagles A's hanging over the fence watching their teammates, brothers in arms. Love to see it.
Adam Simpson right down there as well, sitting on the fence.
No doubt got the headset in, listening to yours truly.
Yeah, Nick Natanui down there as well.
Short throw in. Oh, terrific tackle. I'm telling you right now, Tim, Jared Cameron, one of the best tacklers in this Eagles side.
Doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me one bit.
Very strong and very vice-like with his grip, considering his size. Umpire will restart things yet again. Good battle in the ruck. Here he is on cue, Cameron. Beck wraps him up. Umpire will restart it yet again.
Michelle Henderson on Facebook wants Steve Bandy to commentate the main game. Could he please do the Eagles-Bulldogs game? Are you available?
Nah, they'll be bringing me out on a stretcher. I'm knackered. Early start for us. Nelson just slams it on the boot to the flank. Reid has to do well to split the contest. He does so.
Oh dear, they love your thumb. They love your boys.
Well, how misguided are they, to be honest?
No.
You spend more time with me than them. How wrong are their comments?
No, you're doing a good job.
Thanks, big fella.
For a bloke that I thought had no ability, you're actually showing something. It's good.
Mitchell, hack kick forward.
Come on.
Gee, tough ball to handle there for Bradshaw, but jumps back on it well. Good desperation. Eagles have the numbers, but that little release had to be perfect. Tracy, bit of tunnel ball with himself. Oakley arrives in support, but West Coast not letting him out on that occasion.
Yeah, it's a stoppage here, but it's all very well to have an arm wrestle, but they're running out of time. We've still got time, 19 minutes to go on the clock, but they can't afford just to arm wrestle their way through the next 10 minutes. Need 3 goals.
Gee, Mitchell loose off the stoppage there. Got to be better. Sends the high ball inside 50. Umpire would pay it. Bolton robes it well, like he so often does. Big ball at the top of the square. Tommy Lee spills it. Still up for grabs. Tommy Lee, little squirting handball. Finds Smallwood, but West Coast wrap him up. Dangerous ball. And this is times where you love to have a big sturdy ruckman to just put it down the throat of one of these Eagles midfielders and get it out of there. Almost comes off. Handball to Riak, needs to be clean. Has a back feed to Marston on offer. Just pumps it long outside his defensive 50. Rebillard needs to make a contest, and he does. There's Cameron, just making sure the job was complete.
That was right in front of, that is right in front of the West Coast Eagles, a couple of their coaching staff and their league players. That's where this boundary throw-in is. So they're getting a bird's eye view of their West Coast Eagles waffle team.
3-goal margin here for West Coast. They've got to start getting on their horses sometime soon. Brand a good chest mark, but the umpire whistles play on. Must have been touched off the boot. Jeez, he's extracted it well. Nelson to Marston, but it's a loose man back from Claremont. That's what happens when you blaze away, specifically down the corridor. Anton Hamp finds Martinez. And in the end, Claremont again with control of the footy.
Yeah, putting one back behind the ball on that occasion. So got to think their way through it here, West Coast. Lower the eyes a little bit, work their way to it.
Rogers' little dinky kick puts his teammate under the pump.
Well done.
They turn it over. Brady Gray emerges with it.
Guess who?
Finds the ball magnet in Marston. Pumps it long. West Coast outnumbered, but floating across the pack. Is that young Ashman? No, is it Rebillard or Alex? Rebillard's going to take it.
Barely touched the ball today. I'll check his stats. So he has barely touched the footy, but that was a great grab. And tell you what, a goal here.
Celebrate too early on me here, Tim.
Oh, hang on.
The ex-Claremont Colt, can you believe? Wouldn't you love a bit of revenge here? This is certainly one of the more important set shots of the afternoon as far as West Coast are concerned.
Just his third kick for the day.
He's going to strike it from about 40. It doesn't have the line whatsoever, nor the distance. What a stinker.
That's why he's the ex-Claremont Colt. Wasn't it great? He didn't strike the ball at all well, but tell you what, it's a good grab, wasn't it? You see that? He'll be putting that on the toilet door.
Claremont just want to send it out of there. Fisher from behind, loves an intercept. Can't bring it in on this occasion. Nelson tries to shake the tackler, but Claremont beset upon him. The umpire swallowed the whistle. Don't know about the call. Brady Gray does his best to elude a few tacklers. In the end, is that out of play or trip?
Out of bounds. Out of bounds.
Wow.
Yeah, Jackson McDonald on Facebook. The next waffle game, he wants bandy cam. West Coast, do something with bandy cam.
Not if you've seen this face.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what they want to see. You're like a prize fighter. You're up and down.
Williams front position, but Bolton Attempts to shark it. Umpire pays hanging on. It's going against Matty Allen. He has a big problem with the call.
Brady Gray bootless behind play and limping at the same time, so let's hope he's not injured.
Not a good combo, that. McGee marks.
He's keen just to put the boot back on and stay out there.
Claremont have a couple of options on the outer side. Oh, they've almost collided. Never love to see people injured, but that's the closest I'll get, I think.
Tom Ledger coming off. Jack Beck coming back on.
Rogers, they conceded a bit of ground here, Claremont.
But this is good by West Coast. Get up in their face. Don't let them the easy out. They've got to keep up on them. One-on-one would have been easy because they're pinpoint passing out and they're going to get out here. It's going to get to the wing, I think.
Martinez draws Bolton, has another runner on the outside, finds him in Smallwood. Oh, what a magnificently moves across from Mutimer. Lim wants to come inboard, finds Tracy, takes it very uncontested mark, wants to go back to the outer side.
Too easy.
This is Richardson. Last target's the last one missing. Sends it long to the pocket. Rotham makes sure it goes the other side of the sticks. Gee, they were clean there, Claremont.
They were. But I would love to have seen the West Coast forward 50 players more up in their face. No zoning off, just get up in their face.
Rebillard makes an attempt at spoil on Smallwood. No easy feat. Oh, what a terrific grab coming across the front of the pack is Tyrone Smallwood, and a chance for Claremont to put this margin a little bit too far out of reach.
Yeah, I've got a feeling this is going to hurt them big time. 4 goals inside. Well, they got 14 minutes.
Any score's going to hurt us, really, Tim. It's going to make another scoring shot required to get to the margin. And again, West Coast looking at that scoreboard, 5-12. Might come back to bite them in the end. Here's Smallwood. Makes no mistake with the kick. And Claremont with the steadier.
Kicked the first goal of the game to Tyrone Smallwood, and that is a dagger in the heart of West Coast. He's got 2, Lim 2, Bradshaw 2 and Smallwood 2. The only multiple goal kicker for the West Coast Eagles is Nick Reid. He has also got 2 goals. Is that beyond their reach now? 24 points with 13 minutes? Possibly. But again, don't want to harp on it, but I just felt that Claremont were allowed to march the ball out too easy. I understand zoning off, and I understand just sort of covering space and almost guarding grass at times, but I would love with the win and the chance and momentum still your way, get up in their face, get up in Claremont's back line, force the turnover. They've done it a couple of times. Would love to have seen it continue, but they've let them off now.
Claremont with the only 2 majors in this 4th quarter. Umpire restarts it. It's all Claremont again through Bolton. Little scrappy kick to the flank. Nelson needs to hold his ground. Loves shaking a tackle as Jackson Nelson finds O'Neill. Terrific kick to a loose Marston, and he's off and running. Not too many options to go to. Brooksby has to handle a ground ball. In comes Salamone for support. But in the end, Claremont with numbers on the outside. Smallwood has a couple to pick from. Ledger takes it on his chest. Plenty of numbers forward. West Coast have clogged it up quite well. Have to go long. Rotham is loose. Gets a run at it. Opts for the spoil on this occasion. Puts it over the line.
Georgie Blom on Facebook wants to know who will be the next debutant for the West Coast Eagles AFL team. Well, I think Cameron's getting closer. He's had some moments today. He was very good last week against Swan Districts in a losing team, kicked 4 goals. Just got to do the 1%ers. Just got to keep hanging in there, working hard, getting in under, and when given opportunities for goals, he's got to make the most of it. But he's getting close.
Bolton hacks a kick forward. Is that dumped after he kicked it?
Correct.
Love to see his kicks forward today, courtesy of the men in yellow for Jai Bolton. Certainly has had quite a bit of the footy today, as you'd expect. Option presents itself in the pocket. Tremendous kick. Fisher provides a spoil. No chop of the arms called. Nelson puts Marston under a ton of pressure. Brady Gray charges through, but doesn't see the tackle on the outside. And that's wonderful work there from Claremont through Beck. Able to stifle the momentum of West Coast.
Yeah, and they will be laughing on the other side of their face there because they've been at it, Brady Gray and Beck, for a couple of times off the ball. There's a fair bit going on at the moment. Nelson was involved and I think Bradshaw involved. So still plenty of niggle in this contest with about 10 minutes to play.
Actually, didn't Eastland hear some footsteps there behind from Brody Riak? Drops a simple uncontested mark inside forward 50. The boundary umpire on the broadcast side, worthy of 3 votes today, the amount of work he's done. Sends it into play. We'll see another ball up. Claremont, of course, happy to Expel time off the clock here. Flat 28 minutes to be played. Umpires paid a free kick. It's going against Bailey Williams for a bit of tunnelling, I dare say.
Well, he's counted a push. Bailey Williams had both hands up to try and get the ruck contest. Have a look at this replay. So Bailey Williams basically is holding his ground because Eastland went up and tried to go over the... Williams is allowed to stand his ground. He does...
Williams have eyes for the ball, you reckon?
Well, he's got to realise what's coming. You don't just stand there and allow a bloke to plough into you.
Yeah, but they want both ruckmen to be jumping eyes for the ball.
Well, I'm not so sure Eastland was looking at the ball either. I reckon that's a tough call on a ruckman holding his ground. This will hurt.
Eastland going to strike it from just inside 50. Got a bit of hook, but it's steadied up nicely. And Claremont finally get their work sorted here in the fourth term. Able to steady themselves just when it matters. And they fend off a late charging West Coast Eagles outfit.
He's the 5th Claremont player to be 2 goals in the game. Eastland joins Smallwood, Bradshaw, Lim and Lee with 2. And Nick Reid just has the 2. So the free kick, was it there? I'm not so sure. I reckon he was allowed to stand his ground. You've got to be prepared for the contact. Eastland was going to climb all over the top of Bailey Williams. I'm not so sure that was a free kick. Disappointing result, but the margin's out to 5 goals now. So this is another loss for West Coast. Some promising signs. I think Bailey Williams is one of those who's brought some good stuff to the table today. Brander's been good. Rotham's been good. I think Cameron in patches has been good, and I think Chris Marston's late second and third quarter simply outstanding.
Archie, clever little fend off, back to Gray. He pumps it to centre half forward. No flyers for the West Coast Eagles, and Rogers takes a seemingly uncontested mark. He delivers to Mountford. Lucy the target, but fair bit of front-on contact against Brander. And Lucy will take it. Claremont obviously happy to play a bit of possession football here in the dying stages. He's got Martinez on the flank, over Hug's head. Bolton wants a little cheap stat. Doesn't get it on this occasion. Short kick, Mitchell. Now Bolton gets it. He's going to drive it. Oh, how's the disposal from Jai Bolton? If you don't mind. Bradshaw tempted to go to the goal square. Is that the old fake pretend?
Absolutely it is. You're 45 metres out. You live with goals. You sleep with goals. You want goals. You have a shot at the goals. No chance of passing it.
The ex-Hale boy, I'm told. Tim Gossage in the PSA competition.
Yep. Absolutely. He's been a good stalwart. Had that knee, you can see that right knee heavily strapped. Had a few problems with that.
Lines up. 45 out. Just hooks it. And it has been all Claremont in this fourth quarter. They've responded like I think many of them maybe expected them to do. It's just the one-off quarter they've really had, Tim, it must be said. That third quarter where they went scoreless. Nelson goes for broke down the middle. Archie just gets the spoil into it. Loose footy, right forward flank for Claremont. Fisher, happy to see it out. So now you said earlier in the week, Tim, you believe this Claremont side, there's so much youth and talent in this squad. You think they could be the next Subi, perhaps?
Yes, I do. I genuinely do. I think Darren Harris, we know he's got the coaching capabilities. They've got a good young group coming through. They're rebuilding their Colts unit after being dominant for a long time. And this group, you know, you've got some veterans in Mitchell, but he's still putting it out there. But they've got a really good young bunch coming through, and they're a very happy club. Very, very positive of the way they go about things. And I do. I think eventually someone has to take the mantle away from Subiaco. And I do have a sneaky suspicion it will be the Tigers.
Plenty of 21 to 24, 25-year-olds, as we see a few West Coast seniors stretching and ready for their encounter against the Bulldogs following this game.
Oh.
Brady Gray, flat ball, in the end a bit of a frozen rope to Archie. It's going to work. He's got Nelson coming off the back flank. Good run there from Jackson Nelson. Cameron, the only target in front of him at the moment, has to wait. In the end, Rebillard gives an option, but the kick didn't do him any favours, and Rogers gobbles up another one.
Yeah, they burnt the ball a couple of times. I mean, Brooksby's been deep. He's been the deep forward for the best part of the game, but some of their shallow entries certainly, and I say this in the nicest possible way, not a lot of star power in that Eagles forward 50 lineup, and not a lot of height either. And if they're not hitting their targets, it's coming back out far too easy.
Yes, oh, a little risky kick there, come off the side, in step of Bolton's boot. A chance here for West Coast. Reid lining up for his third goal, if you don't mind. Nick Reid, tremendous strike. And he gives West Coast a late one here in the 4th.
Yeah, look at you pounding the pavement. You're pretty happy with yourself when Nick Reid kicks a goal. He's kicked 3 today.
It's a team game, mate. We lost. You can't be too happy with it, but always good to see North Beach prevail. He has been solid.
Yeah, he has been.
He's coming off a 2-goal, 15 disposal performance. This is his 4th straight game. West Coast have got 8 Waffle Eagles playing at the moment due to injuries. And I dare say when some of the seniors start coming back into the side, that Nick Reid might still find himself deep into this lineup, much to the chagrin of the North Beach Amateur Football Club.
Yeah, well, just get his stats for the day. He's kicked those 3 goals, of course, which is a good sign. But his day's work today, Nick Reid, 14 disposals, 10 kicks, 3 goals, 2.
Bolton, yet another clearance for the midfield sensation out of the Claremont Footy Club. This is Lim on the outer side. Still wants to move it quickly. Richardson in his return game. Certainly a classy forward for the Tigers. Finds Mitchell.
Thanks to everyone who's made comments on Facebook, good, bad or indifferent, wherever you've been watching the game, courtesy of Hungry Jacks. Just a reminder, the West Coast Eagles big boys are in action against the Bulldogs, and chance to cement their top 4 chances here with a win over the Bulldogs. That game commences at 3:20.
Bolton puts Goddard under the pump. Good tackle there from West Coast. Oh, holding the ball. That's one of the stiffer calls you'll see. But we'll take it. Ruckman didn't know where he was. Most don't. Gives back to Rebillard. Finds Marston. He just wants to thump it long to centre-half forward. Salamone from behind. Does well at ground level. Quick snap kick forward. 1-on-1 top of the square. Anton Hamp in better position than Brooksby. And the ex-Eagle prevails with class.
29 disposals to Chris Marston. No other West Coast Eagles had more than 18. That's Brady Gray and Jackson Nelson. So he's played a solo hand at it, has Chris Marston. 7 tackles, though, to Brady Gray. 6 to Brendan Archie.
He's used it well today, Chris Marston.
He has.
Oh, Archie! I thought he took another hanger. How many cars can you fit in your carport, Archie?
And he's arguing the toss of the umpire. He sat on the ground and slapped his hands on the turf and said, what? You're not going to pay that?
I can't wait to see a replay of it. Mutimer streaming through the middle, kicks it straight into Jai Bolton's scone, perhaps. Loose footy. Bennett snaps it to centre-half forward. Richardson, right place, right time. They've got numbers here, Claremont. The kick has to be deep. Fisher tracks back.
Oh, well done.
Tremendous intercept there from Fisher. He wants to carry it on quickly. We'll hold tight on the Archie screamer, not paid for just one moment. Nelson arguing where the mark is. Umpire signals play on. Little short dab pass finds Brander. He wants to use the corridor by hand. This is Mutimer. Bit unsure of his options. Off the outside of the boot could work well. Oh, what a grab there from Lucy with one hand. Enjoyed that. This is Kane Mitchell. Little chip over the top. Finds Goddard. Lim receives on the outside. Kicking board to the chest of Richardson.
Oscar Cozy is watching from Mel.
That's good reach. I like that.
Mexico, Tamworth. Ding, 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 ding.
Little kick. Sure hands of Bolton. Makes no mistake. Jeez, if that's 15, I'll eat me hat.
Oh, it's your favourite hat.
Bolton. I've eaten it a few times. You don't want to know how I get it back. Mitchell has Lim just outside 50. Too far out to score. Spots a target inside that he likes, and the kick is precise. He finds Bradshaw.
So, West Coast Eagles. Who have we got next week? East Fremantle.
No. We haven't got a telecast next week, Tim.
What?
It's a clash with the top side, so there's no telecast.
Oh, come on.
And then I dare say we've got a week off as well, so it's 2 weeks that we're starving the fans.
We're just warming up.
Glorious repartee as Claremont lining up for yet another goal here in the 4th quarter. And Bradshaw makes no mistake. He's kicked his 3rd.
So we're going to go to the outside there. That's a goal. That's nice work, Jack. That's his 3rd goal, Jack Bradshaw. But let's take a look at the Archie leap. Up.
Oh, nah, right not to pay it.
Yeah. Look at him. Look at the little hissy fit. Look at the hissy fit. Just at the end.
Was that better than his last mark? If he'd have taken that?
No. Not in the same league.
Hey, you look like Mr. Miyagi there. He was side on with a fly kick.
Bradshaw's kicked his third goal, so he joins Reid with 3 goals. The ball comes back to the middle.
Oh, who's that? Never like to see it. Precautionary, let's hope. That looks like Salamone with the top knot. With a fair bit of ice going onto that quadricep.
Siren sounds and Claremont win. So 12-7, 79 to 6-12, 48. So in that last quarter, Claremont got a little bit busier after failing to score in the third quarter. They kicked themselves 4 goals to. The West Coast Eagles could manage just the 1 goal. 3 goals to Nicholas Reid for the West Coast Eagles and singles to Jared Brander, Bailey Williams and Matt Allen. 3 goals for Jack Bradshaw, the last goal of the game. 2 goals to Tom Lee, 2 to Ryan Lim, 2 to Oliver Eastland, and Tyron Smallwood also with 2, and Tom Ledger with 1 goal. Let's take a look at some Hungry Jacks highlights, and we'll keep an eye on some waffle stats for you as well as we take a look at them here. And let's have a look at Claremont's stats as we, in fact, we'll go West Coast Eagles stats, for them more important to us, of course, in our listenership and viewership. 30 to Marston. He had 20 and 10, 7 marks and a tackle. Jackson Nelson had 19, Brady Gray 18. As we look at the highlights, Bailey Williams took a very good mark and goal there. Brennan Archie was 17 and also a couple of marks and 6 tackles. Jared Brander thought he played well, kicked the 1 goal, had 11 kicks, also 6 handballs and 9 marks. Fisher, Reid with 10 kicks and 3 goals. Foley, Cameron, a little quieter than last week. Matthew Allen had a bit of a run with roll, had the 11 disposals. And Keegan Brooksby had the 23 hit-outs. Josh Rotham only had the 6 touches, but did some good things in a defensive role. Of course, for Claremont, we'll just touch on a couple of their leading stat getters, and the same old suspects. Mitchell 34, Bolton 33, and they dominate. Lim at 22, Bailey Rogers also with 22. Overall match stats. West Coast Eagles, 166 kicks. They stopped getting the footy in the last quarter. Claremont dominated with the disposals. 166 and 102 handballs. They had 59 marks for the Eagles and laid 74 tackles and 38 inside 50. But in the last quarter, Claremont put the foot on the pedal. They got 46 inside 50s after it was level at 3-quarter time. I think it was 6 to 14 in the last quarter for inside 50s. 44 hit-outs, 56 tackles, 100 marks as opposed to 59 for the Eagles, and the kick stats 220, handballs 94. So Claremont certainly ended up with more of the ball. In the end, 12-7, 79 to 6-12, 48. On behalf of Steve Bandy and Dana Hooker, this has been the West Coast Eagles live feed of the West Coast Eagles waffle team. It was Claremont who got the job done by 31 points, courtesy of Hungry Jacks.